Kadosh means holy. It means it's different, it's distinct, it's sanctified, it's set apart. Simple song, beautiful song, great morning, great show. Brought to you every working day, 6:20. All right. Starting off with Business Sense, brought to you by ADB. Then we jump into the headlines for the morning. People touch your heart before they ask for your hand. People touch your heart before they ask for your hand. Your leadership begins as a caring connection before it evolves into a competence connection. Your leadership begins as a caring connection before it becomes a competence connection, because people touch your heart before they ask for your hand. This is very important. Lots of people want to help people change, they want to help people do better, but they don't care about the people. So it starts as a caring connection. You must care enough to confront, you must care enough to correct. Now if your leader stops correcting you, it means that they don't care anymore about your success. So the saddest day in the life of the protege is the day the mentor says, it's not worth it. I don't care if he does well or not. So people should care enough about you to correct you. Now, if somebody above you fails to correct you or chooses not to correct you, chances are they don't care anymore if you do well or if you don't do well. So don't see the correction and even the criticism as negative. See it as evidence of caring. For whom the Lord loves, them he chastens. So if you are without correction, then you become like a vagabond. So leadership begins as a caring connection, and it is shown through correction. It begins as a caring connection, it is shown through correction, and then it becomes a competence connection. Lots of C's in there. And same with our businesses. So you people have to love your product. You have to love the show. It's not because we tell the news. Everybody can say the news, but the show must connect to the hearts of people first before it makes sense to them. That's what we try and do. That's why we share our lives. That's why we share our anecdotes and our stories. Because it starts with love. Let love lead. So this is Business Sense, brought to you by ADB. We have great news for those who need a loan top-up. Call us on 059-384-4898. That's 059-384-4898. Let's talk about our special personal loan top-up. Offers better rates, extended payment periods, and essentially it's better than the one you took before. ADB, truly Agric and more.
This is the Citi Breakfast Show, the city's biggest conversation.
Meet Mr. Ansah. He prefers to receive money from his friends and loved ones through the Agricultural Development Bank's remittance services, and his reason is simple.
Oh, for me, my brother lives overseas and he often sends me money. I can access it at any ADB branch nationwide, and what he sends is exactly what I receive. No wahala.
Is that why you prefer ADB's remittance services?
Of course. Well, whether it is Western Union, MoneyGram, ZPay Instant Money, Unity Link, Real Money Transfer, or Transfast, receiving my money through ADB's remittance services is guaranteed. And with some of these services, you can receive the money directly into your ADB account. Do you know what the best part is?
Share with us.
You see, eh?
hands, I'm falling if you ask me to. I'd do anything for you, your wish is my command. I could move a mountain when your hand is in my hand. Words could not express how much you mean to me. There must be some other way to make you see. If it takes my heart and soul, you know I'd pay the price. Everything that I possess, I'd gladly sacrifice. Oh, you to me are everything, the sweetest song that I could sing. Oh, baby, oh, baby. To you, I guess I'm just a clown who picks you up each time you're down. Oh, baby, oh, baby. You give me just a taste of love to build my hopes upon. You know you got the power,
This is the Citi Breakfast Show. The city's biggest conversation.
The best of me, come on and take the rest of me, oh baby. Though you're close to me, we seem so far apart. Maybe given time, you'll have a change of heart. If it takes forever, girl, then I'm prepared to wait. The day you give your love to me won't be a day too late. Oh, you to me are everything, the sweetest song that I can sing. Oh, baby, oh, baby. To you, I guess I'm just a clown who picks you up each time you're down. Oh, baby, oh, baby. You give me just a taste of love to build my hopes upon. You know you got the power, girl, to keep me holding on. So now you got the best of me. Come on and take the rest of me, oh baby.
Oh yes, 6:33. The real thing with you to me are everything. And this is still the Citi Breakfast Show.
If it takes my heart,
Picking up the pace with a newspaper review brought to you by Total Energies.
everything that
Energizing your morning. That's what we're all about. With our ART, specially formulated quartz engine oil, improves performance, improves protection, reduces mechanical wear and tear. Choose the oil that keeps your engine running younger for longer. We all want to be younger for longer. Oh, for somebody to give us age resistance technology. My God, how much you do pay for that?
you know you got the power to keep me holding on. So
I
now
can see Nathan is really enjoying the song, and
Yeah.
you're sort of like playing the keyboard.
Yeah,
They-
that's my favorite part of
Yeah.
the song is the strings.
No, the part they did some modulation.
Yeah, they modulate somewhere in the
saying?
song.
Like
Really,
they just
really
move
nice.
the thing to the next level. Do you understand modulation?
That's to modulate.
Modulation somewhere.
Oh, guy. But I thought you used to sing in a choir or something.
Yeah, but that one, that's different.
No, but no.
Principle.
You know it, but maybe you don't know it's called
Maybe you don't know
modulation.
Oh, yes.
So like they sing
before
you to me
formalize it.
everything, then they move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots
It's like
of songs.
it's another note in the same
Yeah.
key.
No. So
Oh.
when you modulate, you move to a different key.
Oh, rather. So you jump.
Yes.
Okay.
If you listen to a song like Easy Like Sunday Morning, there's a modulation.
Okay.
Right? If you listen to this song has some. Darwin, gospel guy Darwin Hobbs. They do 3 modulations in that
In
song.
the same song.
Yeah.
No, one day you have to bring organ and do music. Teach us how to.
The real thing, this song came out in 1976. Sounds fresh.
It means you are not even a blood clot in your mother's womb. Yeah. But you see, that's the thing. You can do something so nice that
Yeah,
I don't
the
know.
music
Many years
of the
after you're
era
gone,
is-
it's still there. Yeah.
Group founded by a guy called Chris Amu.
Is it?
Liverpool.
Are you kidding me?
Yes.
As in AMU.
AMOO.
Ghana.
Ghanaian.
Chris Amu.
Yes.
Oh, serious?
Found in Liverpool.
Was he born here?
I can't tell, but
Oh, where is his relatives? I want to see them.
There are many Amus in town.
Yeah. Anyway, so we want to just go into the headlines. This is
Yeah.
which
In
is
Ghana, we have
Ghana.
our own, which is Ethiopia. Ethiopia.
It's too early for you are changing the song, you are changing the key, you are changing the mood, you are changing everything. Just stay in key and give me the headlines. Oh, what
The
is this?
Ghanaian Times says,
What is this?
securing 3 billion IMF support. President signs 3 tax bills. to pave way for government to back 4 billion Ghana cedis revenue annually.
That's the whole story.
Which
That's the summary of the angle of the story they have been pushing. Let me read it again. So it says, so it's almost like the headline says everything.
Yes.
Securing the 3 billion IMF support.
Yes.
President signs 3 tax bills to pave way for government to back 4 billion revenue annually.
Yes.
Page 11.
Yes. And which is a
There are a lot of threes on the front page.
Yes.
Police are also probing to the death of 3 whatever.
Yeah, then the EC is to conduct the Kumeu by-election on May 23. And Charlie, ECG, the things they are doing, wow, they are making a lot of inroads, collecting money. And ECG
How much have they retrieved now?
Now they have targeted 3.3 million Ghana cedis. That's what they've collected in debt.
I see.
From just 2 others or 3 others.
Wonderful. So that's the Ghanaian Times.
Yes, the Daily Guide also has the Kumeu story. The EC has confirmed the date for that by-election, and it adds that candidates will pay 10,000 cedis. In other stories, Latvian Foreign Minister calls on President Akufo-Addo, and I returned to Ghana for my husband. Aisha Huang speaks. Kenyan nabbed for smuggling
Is a
11.
husband a Ghanaian or a Chinese? Just wanted to be sure.
Anyway, Kenyan nabbed for smuggling 11 kilos of cocaine. And IMF boss lobbies for Ghana.
Let me take you to the Chronicle. The big story, that of the Kenyan woman allegedly caught for smuggling cocaine. Kenyan drug mule busted at Kuktuka International Airport. That's the story on the front page, the big one. Also, we are encouraged by progress made by Ghana so far, according to the IMF. MPP pulls out all the stops in Kumeu by-election, and we are not against you, Jatel's alleged coup plotters.
The anchor says homosexual cash hits anti-gay MPs constituencies. Hey, babe. Sam George others re-election bid under siege. Christian Muslim community silent. Charlie, that's a heavy headline. STC bus carrying SHS students involved in crash. Angry ECG meter readers to abandon work.
Why?
Over hunger after MD's threat. And Ketcher's wife entangled in ID fraud as confusion rocks at Memphis Central NDC.
The new crusading guide says this morning, Ghana-Latvia deepen relations. Also, GES suspends Ghanasco headmaster over toilet dormitory. And Chieftaincy Minister and Boku Chiefs explore avenues for lasting peace. The Foreign Affairs Minister is also on the front page this morning, and the story about that says Foreign Minister calls for bilateral engagements with Italy on agriculture, trade, and security.
Okay, I've got 2 papers on the economy, so let me give you that. One is the Economic Times, and it says job availability declines by 7.9% from January to February 2023. BOG hopeful of lower inflation. Government cautioned against fiscal offset in 2023 budget. And the BNFT says Republic Bank financial statement. So they've put out their Q1 financial statement. Okay. Automated premixed fuel supply starts year end.
All right.
Time to rethink funding of free SHS as energy transition threatens financing of policy. Interesting. And Netco owed 1.2 billion cedis by customers, spends 120 million cedis monthly, but gets 85 million cedis.
The finder says this morning, ECG loses 1 billion Ghana cedis power to theft annually. MD appeals to public to report perpetrators. Also, IGP unveils 2 major election security interventions. Again, Ghana Armed Forces, they have seized over 20,000 pieces of illegal explosives in Takwa. We brought you that story yesterday. And thieves steal 14 computers of blind students at Okwapemam Senior High School.
Thieves are doing what?
They've
They have gone
stolen
to-
14 computers meant for visually impaired students.
And you think God will bless
Why
you.
would you do such a thing?
Anyway, that's all for me.
Yes.
Bernard.
Let me
Let's
give
go
you a
on.
few quick headlines. Mahama Jabs Akufo-Addo's government over toilet dormitory at Ghanasco. Government GS interdicts Fijai SHS headmaster over illegal fees. So this is the second headmaster has to step aside in probably as many days. Nat says, stay off our pension funds. They are saying this to government. Meanwhile,
Warning
Fabak says 3 new taxes are a death warrant for businesses. Meanwhile, IGP is telling the police is telling the NDC and MPP, do your politics and allow us to do our policing. So stay in your lane. So we also stay in our lane. A few more headlines. UTAG is rejecting government proposed inclusion of pension funds in debt restructure. And then fix our roads demo case. Court discharges Francis Xavier Sosu. MyJoyOnline.com. We've broken all records regarding the IMF requirement for bailout. This is Ken Oforiatta. And then Akufo-Addo signs 3 new tax bills into law. Meanwhile, World Bank has committed $250 million to Ghana Financial Stability Fund, according to the Minister of Finance. And then if we go to citybusinessnews.com, tourism sector can generate $1.5 billion and numerous job opportunities, according to the GSS. Importers and exporters, Awingobit, disappointed in Akufo-Addo's ascension of the three bills. Now, I wanted to take you on our sports website. Thomas Partey misses out on FIFA EA Sports Premier League Team of the Season nomination. And then Joseph Paintil dedicates 2-goal performance to Genk fans. He's doing very well in Belgium.
Yeah, he is.
Now, I wanted to just point out a couple of things. In Sudan, the death toll, we are told, has reached almost 200. A week-long power struggle in Sudan exploded into a deadly violence on Saturday, and according to Al Jazeera, 185 are dead. There are calls from all over the world for the hostilities to end, but those calls seem to have fallen on deaf ears.
Sudan is like a boiling pot.
So that
what is
story
also emerging is that even the superpowers of our world are also very much interested. That is how come this
a resource leading place.
Yeah, so that's then if you go to East Africa, we are told that East African governments are choking on debt. So it's not the debt matter is everywhere. All right, so let's go to the president. He signs the 3 tax bills into law.
Exactly. The story is on page 11 of the Ghanaian Times, although announced on the front page of the newspaper. And the story is by a Times reporter, and it says that President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has signed into law the 3 new tax bills recently passed by Parliament. Now, the new tax bills include the Excise Duty Amendment Bill 2022, the Growth and Sustainability Levy Bill 2022, and the Income Tax Amendment Bill 2022. According to the Minister for Information, Mr. Kojo Oppong-Nkrumah, the document has since been given to the Clerk of Parliament to commence the necessary administrative processes. Now, speaking in an interview with in Accra yesterday, he noted, and that is the Minister for Information, that the necessary transmittals were underway before the Ghana Revenue Authority could commence implementation of the laws. Now, the majority in Parliament said the measure formed part of moves to raise 4 billion Ghana cedis annually in revenue. And the Minister of Finance, Ken Oforiatta, said the bills were essential to its quest to secure $3 billion in bailouts, and that he was seeking from the IMF. Now, he further explained that the taxes were targeted at bolstering the sustainable generation of domestic revenue for the country. You do know that Guta and all these groups,
there are lots of reactions. So Fabag is saying that the 3 new taxes are a death warrant for businesses. Nice play on words. There are 2 certainties in life, death and taxes. So the Food and Beverages Association of Ghana says the 3 new taxes assented to by the president is basically saying that businesses will be adversely affected. It says the president's assent is not only disappointing, but also signals doom for businesses in the country. Then the importers and exporters are also not happy. They are saying that they are disappointed in the president for signing the bills into law. Executive Secretary Samson Asaki Awingobit says they are disappointed in the president for ignoring the suffering of the business community. We have another story from Guta, who said the same thing. So almost all the groups are not happy, but the president has said it's part of the prior actions that we need to do to raise 4 billion cedis and also to secure the IMF deal.
Okay, page 3 of the Daily Guide has the EC there, and the EC is saying that it has opened the nominations for the by-election at Kumewu, or in the Kumewu constituency in the Ashanti region, and the filing fee is set at 10,000 cedis per candidate. The commission stated that nominations from potential candidates would be accepted from May 2 to May 5, so that the election will be held on the 23rd. I
actually wanted to stay in the economy before you do business politics. UTAG is rejecting government's proposed inclusion of pension funds in debt retraction. I don't know if you've seen that story. The University Association of Ghana say that they are opposed to government's newly proposed alternative offer to include pension funds in the ongoing debt restructure. The government has said the decision to include pension funds in the program is aimed at alleviating the cash constraints on government in the coming years, while fully compensating the pension fund for the value of their current holdings. But in the memo, UTAC say any move to add pension funds to the debt restructuring will overburden the already poor members. They are still unable to participate in an intervention that would worsen the plight of the already impoverished Ghanaian university lecturer. We therefore write to unequivocally reject the request to use our pension funds, which is GUSS, SNIT, and other pension funds that affect our members for the new alternative proposed offer by government. So they are not having any of government's promises on that in that regard.
But let's stay with issues affecting the economy because the ECG has been doing something very, very commendable over the past couple of weeks. Raising revenue or collecting money owed them. And page 12 of the Ghanaian Times has a story that says GWCL settles part of 17.5 million Ghana cedi indebtedness to ECG. Lawrence Markwe, writing from Ho, says that after 2 years of not paying for electricity consumed, the Ghana Water Company Limited, the Ho office, has paid 2 million Ghana cedis out of its 17.5 million indebtedness to the Electricity Company of Ghana. Now, the last time the GWCL paid for electricity consumed was in 2021, when it made a part payment of only 1 million Ghana cedis, and this led to the company becoming the highest debtor to ECG in the Volta region, with a debt profile of 17.5 million. Now, the payment of 2 million Ghana cedis to the power distributor comes after a series of engagements which led to the power distributor serving the GWCL with a disconnection notice to settle the indebtedness or face disconnection on Tuesday, April 4th.
So how much has the ECG been able to retrieve in total, do we know? Yesterday, the story said about 2.5 million cedis. It's probably gone up. Because I had another version that says close to 3 million cedis.
If you go to page 3 of the BNFT, there are more power stories on the same tangent. And it says Netco, is owed 1.2 billion cedis by customers. Now, Netco, which also owes its parent company, VRA, 1.6 billion cedis for power purchase, says it spends 120 million cedis every month to make electricity available to consumers, but it is only able to recoup 85 million cedis monthly due to power theft and non-payment by consumers. Now, this 1.2 billion that is owed is as of January 2023.
Right, let me give you two quick education stories. STC bus involved in accident on Accra Cape Coast Highway. 25 passengers sustained minor injuries after an STC bus with registration number GB 10709 hit the back of a tipper truck after losing control of the bus, resulting in both vehicles veering off the road and entering a ditch by the roadside. This happened at Gomua Buduata Junction on the Accra Cape Coast Highway today. Police and fire officers arrived at the scene to help rescue persons who were trapped. Now, we're told that there were some students in the bus. Now, still on education, GS interdicts Fijai SHS headmaster over illegal fees. Fijai is one of the more popular secondary schools in the Western region. The GS has interdicted Kenneth Agbomoje, headmaster of Fijai Senior High School, with immediate effect over his alleged involvement in collection of illegal fees in the school. It was contained in a statement signed by the GS yesterday, Tuesday, April 18. Actually, that's today. He has been asked to hand over the administration of the school to the Western Regional Director of Education, very similar to the interdiction for the Ghana school headmaster. Now, this is pending investigations for the committee to look into reports that he has collected illegal fees in the school. The investigative committee has been given 2 weeks to submit a report to management, the GS said in a statement.
Bernard, let's stay in the Western region because something else regarding education and ECG. ECG disconnects TTU, 2 others over 3.3 million debt. Now, Clement J. Boy, writing from Takrady, says that 3 establishments, the Takrady Technical University, TTU, Busia Beach Resort, and Mondial Veneer, have been disconnected for owing Electricity Company of Ghana in the Western region a total debt of 3,293,532.56 Ghana cedis. Now, the debt has been outstanding as of March 2023. Now, the TTU owes some 1.3 million Ghana cedis. Busia Beach Resort 1 million Ghana cedis, and Mondial Veneer some 875,000 Ghana cedis. Now, the question I'm asking is, what will happen to the students? I mean, the TTU, they go to school, right?
I don't even know whether the schools... Why aren't they using prepaid meters? So they buy the credit, unless education institutions are excluded. But I don't know. It's a good question.
Under the Mills government, there was a policy directive like that, and that government institutions should go onto the prepaid meter. And then also there was an attempt to rope in, what do you call it?
1.3 million is a lot.
It's a lot of
so
money.
Otherwise, how would the ECG also run? You get me? So I don't know. They have to find a way. But for me, I think the ECG is showing leadership in the way they are going about what they are doing.
Yeah.
So
I saw somewhere that what they've raised so far is some 2 billion Ghana cedis, if that figure is correct. I think it's
all right. Now the IGP met the NDC and the MPP.
Yes.
And the message is simple: do your politics and let us do our work. So this is a statement that they sent yesterday, which I think is quite an interesting one. The Inspector General of Police met with leadership of the two political parties over recent incendiary, is that how the word is pronounced? Incendiary comments. The meeting was called at the instance of the IGP because of the statements by both parties and petitions by same to the police to investigate each other. Now, the police then released a statement which is like, how many paragraphs? 17 paragraphs. But basically, they are saying the politicians should leave them to do their work so that they should also do their politics. I think that's basically the upshot of this. Don't draw us into your... Which I thought quite interesting, because it's like that the police is being put in a difficult position because of the way we do our politics. It's like somebody says something and then you say, well, go and arrest this guy. Then the happens says, okay, go and arrest this guy. So now police is now supposed to make a judgment on which statement is incendiary and which one is not. So they're being put in a very difficult position.
Yeah,
so their meeting paragraph says it's a strategic intervention.
So basically, they say they are forming, or they have formed, a committee which would examine the possible criminality of statements made by politicians and determine whether there are elements of criminality before they can prosecute.
Yes. So they want to proceed with that approach, because if they don't take it, they'll be drawn into he said, she said, arrest, and it's not a very good place to be. But they have to be consistent, because if you take an action today on the basis of something that you consider to be wrong, then you must follow through. So it's a difficult situation.
We just don't behave in this country. That's just
yeah. So let's come back to Nathan. A few more stories before I move to international.
If you go to the BNFT, there's a feature on page 2 talking about the funding of free SHS. And it says time to rethink funding of free SHS, written by Kizito Kujo. So the story was drawn out of a function that was held. Now, chairman of the Civil Society Platform on Oil and Gas, Dr. Steve Mantia, he's saying that oil revenues are volatile, and therefore, if you are hinging the fortunes of free SHS on such a volatile
We've
element,
heard it a lot of times.
It's
but
really
people
not
say they will do it,
sense.
they won't mind you.
Okay, so they go on to mention the annual budget funding amount, which is the critical financial source for the country's budget, receiving 40% of the country's petroleum revenue. So essentially talking about the oil money, the volatility, and how it could potentially affect free SHS and how it runs.
Yeah, it's not working. Let's come back to the Chronicle.
The Chronicle has a story. Drag mule busted at KIA, and apparently she is Kenyan. And Max Olofori, writing on in the Chronicle this morning, says that a Kenyan national, Jerry Mary, is in the grips of the Narcotics Control Commission for allegedly smuggling cocaine into the country. Now, Mary, 35, was arrested last Saturday, April 15, 2023, at the Kodoka International Airport with 11.04 kilograms of cocaine concealed in her luggage. Now, a statement signed by the Acting Director, Public Affairs of NACOC, Mr. Francis Opoku Amoa, and released in Accra last night, said the cocaine was worth 309,120 United States dollars. And it goes on to give you some details.
So it's a Kenyan woman.
Yeah, a Kenyan woman.
We also have a Chinese woman.
Yeah, Aisha Huang.
Yeah,
that's
Aisha
on
Huang.
page 6 of the Daily Guide.
Yeah, but we actually pray that we know where we are keeping this coke, because oftentimes, we receive the thing and then kukumpe, powder, all kinds of things are happening.
Okay,
I hope
so-
this doesn't turn into a war.
Okay, so Aisha Huang says she returned to Ghana following her deportation in 2018 because she missed her husband. Now, Inspector Simon Yaho, the prosecution's 10th witness in the trial of Aisha Huang, who's being held on immigration and illegal mining charges, yesterday told the court that the accused, upon her arrest, told officers that she managed to re-enter Ghana through the Aflao port and had in their possession 2 Chinese passports. Quote, when we asked her why she came into Ghana, she stated that she had missed her husband, whose name she gave us as one Prince Amwa, and that she had come to visit him.
Prince Egbami. Charlie. No, Prince a big man. Charlie. So
and Inspector Amwa, Inspector Amwa to confirm that when Aisha Wang was arrested, she had 2 passports with different names and dates of birth, as well as places of birth, although they were issued in the Republic of China.
I want to give you some headlines and then I go to Sudan. Now, the rest is a story about free SHS. Now, government flagships have a lot of issues. Ghanaian Times, page 13, allow us to run planting for food and jobs. This is CSIR to government. This is the Deputy DG of the CSIR, Professor Marian Dorcas Quinn, has appealed to government to allow the research center run its flagship agricultural program, Planting for Food and Jobs. He says they are the foremost national science and technology institution. They have the human capacity and logistics to ensure the sustainability of the program. Second story, Ministry of Health has introduced no elevator or no lift days.
Yeah, we did that last week.
As part of measures to control expenditure at the ministry. And then the Lands Ministry and security agencies are collaborating to search for attackers of the Gold Star Wassa mine. This mine was attacked a month ago. A Minister of Lands and some security agencies have met to discuss this. Now, the UN says almost 200 people have been killed in battles, over 1,800 wounded. Fighting between the army and paramilitaries, and this is AFP by the way, fighting between the army and paramilitaries in Sudan has killed around 200 people and wounded 1,800, damaging hospitals and hampering aid after 3 days of airborne warfare. A week-long power struggle exploded into deadly violence on Saturday between the forces of 2 generals who seized power in the 2021 coup. Sudan's army chief Abdel Fattah al-Burhan and his deputy Mohammed Hamdan Daglo, who controls the paramilitary rapid support forces. Analysts say the fighting in the capital is unprecedented and could be prolonged, despite regional and global calls for a ceasefire to diplomats mobilize. So this is troubling, and quite a number of high-level international people are trying to calm nerves. But Charlie, they are just bombarding each other. And there's a video of a guy reading news on TV.
They're destroying their own
country. Go.
They are destroying their own country.
We have to be careful, and nobody will come and save you. Charlie. So when people are talking nonsense, we should not be giving them airtime.
Yes, I agree with you.
So that's the issue.
You know, Papa, see that? And it's Rickety car. Hey, Papa!
Bobo, so how's your engine now?
It is half man, half amazing.
The Citi Breakfast Show. Rise above the noise.
Citi Business News brought to you by MTN. Have you ever wondered how to subscribe to a particular MTN service and how to view, add, or cancel your mobile subscription from one place? Just dial *175# to access and manage all your subscriptions everywhere you go. Michael Obodo is here with the news. Good morning.
Good morning, Bernard. Hello and welcome to the breakfast edition of Citi Business News, proudly brought to you by MTN Goil and powered by your most comprehensive business news website, citibusinessnews.com. Coming up, businesses in the country unhappy with President Akufo-Addo's assenting into law 3 new tax bills. Also, Bank of Ghana pushes for an upgrade in lending framework of the International Monetary Fund. Let's bring you details of our stories now, as the business community in the country have expressed their disappointment with President Akufo-Addo's assenting into law the new tax bills approved by Parliament despite resistance from stakeholders. The business groups made up of the Ghana Union of Traders Associations, GUTA, Association of Ghana Industries, AGI, and the Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana had petitioned the president on the matter after Parliament passed the revenue mobilization bills. They lament that the plight of businesses will be further compounded if the tax laws are implemented. Speaking to Citi Business News, Executive Secretary of the Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana, Samson Asakia Wingobit, expressed disappointment at the president for turning a blind eye to the sufferings of the business community.
And I'm disappointed. So I know all my colleagues. You can ask the Free Forest, you can ask the Team of Commerce, you can ask Gupta, you can ask tax, you can ask food and beverages. They will all tell you that we are totally in dismay when we heard that the president has signed it. This 4 billion, we wait to see if the government will even make 1 billion out of this money. But I can tell you, there is anger out there, very serious anger out there. And business community doesn't even want to see this government face again. I'm telling you, that's the fact of the matter. It shows how the president is the president who's not ready to listen to the business community. And the president has shown that pitch to far as the government, the president promises us in 2016 when he was looking for power to rule Ghanaians. And that his government was going to be business friendly, was going to give business a needed framework for them to be able to flourish. It's unfortunately 7 years down the lane. The same president today, if you want to talk about the high cost of doing business in this country, he doesn't care about it. If you are saying businesses could not break even last year, and the president have gone ahead to sign the bill without records to even our petition that was sent to the presidency, from where I sit, I would think that this government has lost trust with the business community.
Samson Asakia Wingobit is the Executive Secretary of the Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana. Now, the Bank of Ghana is advocating an upgrade in the lending framework of the International Monetary Fund. This, according to the Governor of the Central Bank, Dr. Ernest Addison, will go a long way to help boost African countries' access to fund resources. Addressing the 2023 African Consultative Group meeting in Washington, D.C., Governor of the Central Bank, Dr. Ernest Addison, also urged the fund to consider increasing concessional financing to the continent by modifying the access thresholds, including expanding access limits, as this will ensure timely financing, assistance to most vulnerable members. Again, the governor urged the fund to continue close engagements with other international financial institutions and creditors to strengthen the multilateral framework for dealing with Africa's debt distress in a timely manner. Now, on the interbank foreign exchange market, where banks trade amongst themselves, the dollar is selling at 10 cedis 94 pesos. It recorded no price change. The British pound remained unchanged and is selling at 13 cedis 60 pesos. The euro also remained unchanged and is selling at 12 cedis 3 pesos. However, at some forex bureaus in the capital, the dollar is selling for 11 cedis 90 pesos, while the British pound is selling at 14 cedis 80 pesos, and the euro is going for 12 cedis 90 pesos. Moving on, the Ghana Statistical Service says the government can rake in about $4.5 billion if it leverages the full potential of the tourism industry. The service explains that the economic viability of the sector can help reduce the high unemployment amongst the youth. Central Regional Correspondent Calvin Tete has more in the following report.
According to the government statistician, Professor Samuel Kobna Enim, who was speaking at the launch of the 2023 Domestic and Outbound Survey in Winneba, this has become necessary since it will aid the country in acquiring a tourism satellite account, which in the long run has the potential of making the tourism sector the number one foreign exchange earner, as is also being perceived by the Ministry of Tourism, Art and Culture. It also has the potential of creating over 1.4 million direct and indirect jobs in the sector by 2027. Government statistician Professor Samuel Kobna Enim explained that the survey will offer a comprehensive outlook for the tourism sector to inform policy decisions of government.
The Ministry of Tourism, Art and Culture is projecting that our tourism sector should be the number one foreign exchange earner based on their strategic plan. So they're setting 2027 as the timeline where the tourism sector would be the number one foreign exchange earner. The second perspective is the employment potential of the sector. And again, the ministry is projecting that by 2027, the sector should directly and indirectly create about 1.4 million jobs. This domestic and outbound tourism survey is basically responds to one question: how attractive are our tourist sites and the number of people who visit these tourist sites? We're currently in the field conducting the Ghana International Traveler Survey. Heading into 2023, that is the latter part of the year, we're going to roll out the two other surveys, which is the accommodation unit survey and the tourism establishment survey. So these surveys would help us put together a tourism satellite account and track the country's potential in gaining the 1.4 million jobs that we seek to get, and also getting in excess of 1.5 billion USD from the sector.
Meanwhile, a professor of tourism at the University of Cape Coast, Professor Kweku Boachi, underscored the need for stakeholders to commit more investment to the sector to achieve the Sustainable Development Goal targets.
The essence of these surveys is to move from the anecdotal space into real hard facts. Now, when we get those type of information, we can now make a strong policy point to government.
Central Regional Correspondent Calvis Tete filed that report. Now, Ghana is set to be a leader in the electronic vehicle space in the sub-region, as the Ministry of Trade and Industry has given approval for the assembling of such automobiles in the country under the Automotive Development Policy. The first phase of the project is expected to be completed by the end of the year and is anticipated to produce 10 cars per day. The Automotive Development Policy was introduced to, among other things, establish a fully integrated and competitive industrial hub for automotive manufacturing in collaboration with the private sector, global and regional and domestic partners. Speaking to Citi Business News, CEO of the implementing company Solar Taxi, George Appiah, stated that the move will significantly drop the cost of electronic vehicles in the country.
It enables us to do production at a more affordable cost. So we have currently, that should have us get about 30% knock off the current cost of the cars. So this is something that enables to bring the barrier, the initial cost down, allow a lot of people to own electric vehicle, and then we get to achieve the goal of having a lot of electric vehicles here in Ghana. So that is a great point to have on. Second point has to do with, for us, exportation is very key to us. So with this, we get to assemble vehicles here in Ghana, but we get to sell across the sub-region. Based on the AFTA agreement also, then it's a plus. So having this as a country, there's also potential of bringing forest earnings back to the country. So for us and for the country, it's a big deal. In terms of cost, in terms of production, in terms of exportation, is really a big deal. And then maybe the third point is it starts linking into the value chain.
You heard the CEO of Solar Taxi, George Appiah. Let's now join Mark Jordan Sikanate of Data Bank for the latest updates on the bonds market.
The Treasury issued 1.79 billion Ghana cedis after accepting all bids at last Friday's money market auction. On the back of thin demand, the 91-day and the 182-day yields advanced to 19.74% and 22.47% respectively, while the 364-day yield retreated to 26.9%. Trading activity on the Ghanaian secondary bond market was dull in the prior week, as weekly turnover slowed 90.12% week-on-week to 23.5 million Ghana cedis. Despite the sluggish market activity, the Data Bank bond index gained 0.29% week-on-week to 97.54 points, with a weighted yield to maturity of 9.62%.
That was Mark Jordan Sikanate of Data Bank. And that does it for the breakfast edition of Citi Business News, proudly brought to you by MTN Goil, empowered by your most comprehensive business news website, citibusinessnews.com. My name is Michael Obudu. Thank you for listening. Have a good business day, and as always, please stay safe.
I nearly gave up on driving out of frustration. What hadn't I done? Purging, replacing electrical parts, changing my fuel pump, and still the engine noise.
Toyota Camry car that cost 114,000 cedis on the market would accumulate 74,267 cedis in taxes, charges, levies, and fees. And we walk through the charges on the program, and I'll probably share some of the highlights with you. Now, we understand that port traffic in Tema has reduced, and it's possibly because of the multiplicity of taxes and also the uncertainties. So this one, I'm going to break down for you the specific cost items in the build-up. Yeah. And how serious is the effect of these taxes on companies? The Ghana Federation of Labour says that a lot of companies are collapsing in the industrial enclave because of the multiplicity of taxes. The FABAC say businesses can't cope with the many taxes that are being imposed on them. We'll deal with all of that on the show this morning. But did you know that for over a decade, Leshell Savings and Loans has been supporting the investment goals of customers with attractive solutions? We've always been a safe haven for depositors who value security as well as competitive returns. With easy access to track your funds, we offer flexible deposit products for 91 days, 182 days, and 365 days. Open a fixed deposit account with us or call 057-7707-700. Let's achieve your goals together. The Shell Savings and Loans, a trusted safe haven for your investments. The shareholders improve life. Pickup is also brought to you by Shell. Shell Fuel Saves Triple Action Formula improves engine efficiency, prevents deposit buildup, and protects your engine from wear and corrosion for extra clean, extra protection, and extra savings. Switch to Shell Fuel Save today because extra kilometers go a long way.
My floppy, this be my payback.
Mohamed Salah is back. Khadi Gakpo has started. Diego Jota is back. The whole Liverpool is back. You know, there's this video I saw of a guy who, after every Liverpool match, he would do like, whether he's happy or sad, he will, and it's like an emotional roller coaster. So yesterday was a great night for Liverpool. But I'm not very hopeful about the next game.
That's the thing. Every time we say Liverpool is back, they do the unthinkable. In the headlines, Ghana's Thomas Partey, he has been snubbed for the FIFA 23 EA Sports EPL Team of the Season nominations. Chelsea take on Real Madrid in the second leg of the Champions League quarter-final as they try to overturn a 2-0 deficit. And in the NBA playoffs, the Kings and the Sixers win big in Game 2. Now, Chairman of the 2023 African Games Local Organizing Committee, Dr. Kweku Ofosu-Asare, has expressed disagreement with claims that Ghana's financial state is inadequate for hosting the multidisciplinary event. Now, he asserts that the Games present the country with a prime opportunity to enhance its sporting infrastructure, despite the government's appeal for a $3 billion bailout from the IMF to bolster the economy. Dr. Kweku Ofosu-Asare expressed these sentiments while speaking to City Sports on the sidelines of the launch of Ghana's fastest human.
And so people talk about, why are you having the African Games in this crunching period, these tough times? Why don't we use the money for other things, opportunity cost? But the problem is that if we don't do it now, these facilities will never be created for us or will never be built for us. And we don't have to over-concentrate on football. We've done that for years. And as I mentioned, since 1982, I mean, we all love football. I've been associated with football for a very, very long time, running commentary, traveling with the teams and all that. But we need to also be looking at other disciplines. And the African Games is giving us the opportunity for us to shift the focus from football to the other lesser disciplines: athletics, boxing, judo, karate do, handball, basketball, hockey, and all that. So this competition, the African Games, is also creating an opportunity for us to stimulate our economy, for jobs to be created.
Now, the 2023 African Games due to take place in Ghana has been moved to next year because of economic pressure, delays in preparations, and acrimony amongst key stakeholders. Dr. Ofosu-Asare has reiterated optimism that the 13th edition of the Games will be a reality from March 8 to 23, 2024.
If we want to have qualified for the Olympics, if you want the track satisfied, if you want all those things are done, you cannot do these things without the involvement of ANOCA, UCSA, and AU, the owners of the games. So if these people are fighting, then we, the host nation, stood to suffer. So it was you can liken it to two elephants fighting and a guy suffering. So that was a huge challenge, and we have been able to overcome. And we want to give credit to the president because his commitment to getting the issue resolved played a major role for us to be able to resolve it last February. The other challenges are the facilities that we are building, and it's a crunching period. The government is committed, and there are a lot of things that we need to do to get the games going. Apart from the facilities, we need to have other things like operational and all that. So, but then, God willing, we are getting there. The major thing is that the president is committed, and he has committed his government to it. And I think I will crave the indulgence of all Ghanaians for us to get committed, because the African Games since 1965, this is the first time that we are getting the opportunity to host the Games.
The head chairman of the 2023 African Games Local Organizing Committee, Dr. Kweku Ofosu-Asare, speaking there. Let's move on to some other stuff. And former GFA Executive Council member Samuel Odro-Nyako has lauded Black Stars head coach Chris Hughton and his technical team for monitoring local talent in the local top flight league. Hughton and his assistants have been pictured at a number of venues this season ahead of Ghana's next assignment in the AFCON qualifiers. Speaking to City Sports, the former WA All-Star CEO advised Hughton to extend his scouting range to other venues in his quest to assemble the best talent.
It's good on the part of the coach. A coach who goes to watch local games with a view of selecting players is good. So I think that he should not limit it to Accra alone. He must extend it to the outside stations. Doma, Brukum, you understand, so that they can get the best for the Black Stars. It's good that he was here, and this is a good game that he can assess the players and select some from. I like the idea.
Now, Samuel Odro-Nyako further advised local players selected for the national team to sustain their level of performance in a bid to secure a starting berth when handed call-ups.
Well, it's about performance. It's about sustaining your level of performance. That's all. If you are selected from the local team and you maintain your form and you are able to, prove that you see what it takes to play in the Black Stars, I think you'll be kept there. But when you are selected from the local side, you get into the Black Stars and you don't lift your game to, fit into the professionals, those who have come from abroad or something, then you'll be dropped automatically. So it's a matter of maintaining your level of performance. That's all. Any local player who gets into the national team and keeps his level will get a selection. If you don't and you flop, you will not get a selection. Let's get our minds to this Hearts player who went, Banye. I think Banye was playing well when he was in Hearts. But when he went to the national team, I think the level dropped a bit. That's why he was not used in the Black Stars. But that should not be something that should dampen the spirit of the local players. They must get their loins for a tougher battle and maintain their level of performance when they get into the national.
So you heard former GFA Executive Council member Samuel Odro-Nyako speaking there. Let's do some other news. And the Black Stars are set to play their final match against Switzerland in the UEFA Under-16 Development Tournament today at 8 a.m. after winning their previous two matches against Serbia and Spain. Coach Karim Zito's side has the potential to finish the tournament with a perfect record when they face the Swiss Under-16 team. This tournament serves as a crucial step in the development of the Black Stars as they strive to build a formidable team capable of competing at the WAFU Under-17 Cup of Nations and other high-profile international competitions. Let's move on to some other news in Ghana. And Arsenal midfielder Thomas Partey has been left out of the FIFA 23 EA Sports Premier League Team of the Season nominees. Now, Partey, who has played 26 matches and scored 3 goals, has been pivotal to the success of the league leaders Arsenal, who are seeking their first league title in almost 2 decades. Now, his omission caused a stir among fans and social media users as he was pipped to the midfield position by the likes of Argentine World Cup winner Alexis McAllister, Solly March, and Rodrigo Bentancur. So Thomas Partey misses out on that one. Meanwhile, we catch up with the EPL action. Liverpool had too much firepower for Leeds United. 6-1 is how they won that game. Mohamed Salah with a brace, Diego Jota with a brace, and then also Cody Gakpo and Darwin Núñez getting in on the action. Luis Sinisterra scored the consolation goal for Leeds United. Let's now get into the UEFA Champions League. It's a big night for Chelsea Football Club. Now, Chelsea will be at Stamford Bridge. They have a big task on their hands to overturn a 2-0 deficit from the first leg against Real Madrid. Chelsea caretaker manager is Frank Lampard. He says he's confident the home crowd at the Bridge can push his side when needed against the Spaniards.
I've got no doubt it will be positive. And when I talk about that, I talk about the lead to the game, the start of the game. I think the rest is a little bit down to us. It's down to us as a team to play with a real desire and a know-how to try and turn this game around. I think for sure. I've been here too many times in this level of game at Chelsea, at Stamford Bridge on an evening, midweek Champions League knockout game to understand that the atmosphere is going to be great. And again, now it's time for us to make sure that we engage the crowd throughout because they can help us for sure. That's why we're at home. That's why this two-legged competition is the best out there. So yeah, I'm confident in that. We just need to play our part.
You had Chelsea caretaker manager Frank Lampard speaking there. Real Madrid manager Carlo Ancelotti says he has no regret of not scoring more goals in the first leg.
We have no regrets for the game because I think that we played at our best and we played a good game, and that's what we need to do. Is what we plan to do tomorrow, to play a good game, the best game that we can, and to try to reach the semi-final. And then when we are in semi-final, we will see.
So you heard Real Madrid head coach Carlo Ancelotti speaking there. In the other game to be played, Napoli will be up against AC Milan. Napoli have a 1-0 deficit to overturn. In that game, the big news is that Nigerian striker Victor Osimhen has returned to training ahead of Napoli's tie, and he will possibly be up for selection. Let's get to some other news. In Barcelona, President Juan Laporta says the club did nothing illegal by employing a company to consult on technical and refereeing issues. The club has been charged by prosecutors in Spain with corruption over payments made to a company owned by Jose Maria Enrique Negreira, the former vice president of Spain's referees committee between 2001 and 2018. Now, the charges filed include corruption in sport, corruption in business, false administration, and falsification of commercial documents. So that's what's going on with FC Barcelona. Let's finish off with some basketball from the NBA playoffs. The Sixers are 2-0 in their series against the Brooklyn Nets. 96-84 is how that game ended. And then the Golden State Warriors are in a bit of trouble. They lost their second playoff game again to the Sacramento Kings, 114-106. De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis combining for 48 points in that particular game. That's all for this edition of Kickoff. My name is Benjamin Nketia, the small sport at citysportsonline.com.
Extra, let me tell you all about it.
7:36. Wishing a few people happy birthday this morning. To Owahini Amasichiabia Dede Ampoa the third, Kontihima of Anria Sik Equapim, and Osia Hinimia on the Ofurikuma stool Equapim traditional area. This is coming from Equia Enima. To Walanyo Fajinu, wonderful guy, country manager Askai, from your wife, your kids, your brother Malco, and your friends. Then I wish my husband Eko Kwansa, Total Energies Ghana PLC, a happy and fabulous birthday. It's my prayer that this new age is marked with greatness and more favor. Still, my mind day for him. Have a wonderful day from your dear wife, Majori Kwansa. I hope you have a song called Abeku Kwansa. Abeku Kwansa, no try.
But I have one here. This one is to Abraham Anokwashi of the CBG Winneba branch. Happy birthday. Happy belated birthday. It was his birthday yesterday. So, Abraham, happy birthday to his Anakraka man from my year group 2000.
You know something that just came to my mind? You know, when you are doing a newspaper review and Sky mentioned Lawrence, the first word that... so usually when you mention the first name, the surname that comes to mind tells you the kind of brain you have. So when you said Lawrence, I was thinking of Lawrence Atizigi. Now, when you said Abraham, you know who came to my head? Abraham Amaliba. So it means I've been using my mind to do football and politics. So when you mentioned Abraham, I just thought about Amaliba. When you mentioned Lawrence, I was thinking about Atizigi. There was another name you mentioned too. Another name came to my head. It's a challenge. Oh man. You know, so when I mentioned Fred, what comes to your name? What head to head?
I don't know Fred Jaban.
Fred Jaban.
Yeah, because now I hear Fred.
Is that Fred Agbajo?
When I hear Fred, no, I think of Jabano. When I hear of Abraham, no, I think of Amaliba. Charlie. So that's some way, pal. Of all the Abrahams in the world, it's Amaliba that I'm thinking about. So it tells you the kind of thing you've been using your mind to.
I know, right?
Lawrence Atizigi. This is the goalkeeper, right?
Zigili.
Atizigi. So good morning to Abraham Amaliba. Abraham Amaliba.
Yeah, he's the leader of the legal team.
I'm sure he was in the meeting with the IGP.
Brutal. For they coach you.
Abraham Amaliba.
Yeah, but the NDC they enforce for that guy. You know, the guy will work when they come into office, then they'll give him some small board something.
You see, there's something called every day for thief man, one day for master.
Yeah, it's not fair. That man, and then also and this my man. Adaudu, Kojoga Adaudu. The work that they have done for the NDC.
It's called legal any work.
It's not fair. And when they cook the team where the team is set for team, then how do they share mother side, father side? It's not fair.
Aren't you endorsing scratch my back?
No, it's not bad. It is meritocracy.
Please.
No, Amaliba, he does the work.
Oh, my brother.
Kojoga Daudu, he's done the work.
Stop shouting.
All these, we have lost the seat here. We have won the seat.
He hasn't come to complain that he wants anything.
No, he doesn't have to publicly complain.
What is it?
What
is your problem? What is your problem this morning? I said when I mention Abraham, it's Amaliba that comes to my mind. That's all. I didn't say you should come and do an appeal for funds for him.
No, I'm plugging in.
No, it's not
to say that if the NDC come or when they come back to power, you never know when it could be 2024.
It's okay. Nathan.
What I'm saying is when they come or if they come,
you hear Richard,
they should recognize their contributions to
when you hear Richard, what comes to mind?
None.
Richard Koshiga.
No, not Richard Koshiga. No, Richard Koshiga.
You are doing too much politics. Is Richard's guy now?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Richard's guy.
Oh, I see.
You are the only Richard in the system.
And when there's Bernardino, he has to be
but there's no
Bernardino.
I'm the only Bernardino in the country.
In the town.
I've searched. I've not found
the whole governance.
The whole.
There was a day I met a lady called Bernardina, but I've never met Bernardino in my life.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
there's one hiding somewhere.
I don't think there is.
Charlie?
No, I've searched, bro.
You have searched?
And you know, it's when I was when I was in class 4, they used to laugh at me about my name.
They say, why is your name Bernardino?
Yeah, they say, are you a Brazilian?
Don't mind
some of the things they laugh at you. When you think I was saying, why are you laughing at me?
Yeah.
And I was sad that they were laughing at me.
Can you imagine that? Don't mind the ignore them.
When you were in primary school, your head is not open.
It's a name that has a lot of famous.
Yeah.
So there's Bernard.
No, but let me ask you a question. You just came when I mention Abraham, what comes to mind? When I mention Abraham, whose surname do you think about?
Amaleba.
Someone is working.
When I say Lawrence, who name you?
No, that's another name.
When they say Lawrence, the first name that came to it was Atizigu.
No, when they say Lawrence, there's a Lawrence in my area. Adams.
Okay.
Go ahead. Brutal guy. Local legend.
Football matters.
No, not football matters, just area legend.
But let me do a quick belated birthday wish to Pamela Sena Nyakpenu or Nyakpenu. It says that God has been faithful for adding another year to your age. You have been blessed with more experience and wisdom to direct the family as the commander-in-chief of the house. The officers and men of our household and I wish you a blessed day. May the lovely God of our world continue to bless you. It's coming in from Richard Dela Amatepe. Richard Dela Amatepe, wishing this one out to Pamela Sena Nyakwen.
A few more birthdays. Happy birthday to my lovely wife Gloria Makafui Mensah. You are a true Proverbs 31 woman. From Eric Kweku Mensah of Adenta. Also the birthday of our son Jamin Kwabena Adomako from Hillsview Montessori Atomic Hills. You turn 6 today. We pray for God's blessings and protection for you. May you grow in wisdom and stature. Charlie, my friend, when you mention Lawrence, the first word that comes to his head is Lawrence Tete. No, you know, some people have colonized some names. So.
Yeah, they own the place.
So when I mention Moses, what comes to your head?
Moses Fuamun. That's my man.
And if you hear Johnson.
When I mention Paul.
Paul Adoboji.
When I mention Philip.
Philip Asho.
Samuel Atamensa.
Samuel, there has to be.
No, Samuel, there are plenty.
Like for example,
Samuel, Sami Jemfi. No, okay, when I mention Sami.
Yeah, that's Sami.
No, when you mention Sami, I think of
Sami Yafi.
Sami Yafi than Jemfi.
No, I think of Sami.
Jemfi is more of a new phenomenon.
No, the
Sami, they always go Yafi.
No, the Sami is controversial because there are many.
Sami Kufo, Sami.
When I mention Michael
Otieje.
David.
You
see, David is normal. David is normal.
No, actually, why you mention David Entry? Because when I was president, we had a senior called David Entry who was like a pastor guy. So his name is in my head, David Entry. Robert
Nia de Clegg.
Yeah, Robert Clegg.
For me, I'm a footballer. Is it Robert Mensah?
Robert Mensah. Okay, let me complicate. When I say knee.
As in knee.
Yes.
The name knee.
Knee.
Which knee is which the first knee in your head?
So my man, they be knee.
Just knee. It's knee. Okay. Knee apatu. So you can actually do this to you can map the person's mind and who his relationships are. Because when I mention a name, the first surname tells you that you've been working with that name.
Yeah.
But it's a dangerous game to play on the opposite sex.
Yes,
your wife will not be happy. So we'll just stay within the male side. Because I
remember that there was a time that I was reading the news. So this thing you're talking about, so I went with the name, the name was Angel Cabono.
Yes.
You understand?
Angel Cabono.
But for some reason, I think we're having a discussion about football. Then I went, I said Angel Gabriel Baptist.
Taliban.
He was waiting for
Taliban. Angel, he's been in the news for a very long time. If when Richie Sky was reading news, and Sky hasn't read news for a very long time, Sky was reading news.
He was waiting.
So apparently, but okay, when I say Fred, he says Fred Jabano.
Yeah, Jabano. There can be only one.
When I say Frank
Anodonbre.
How do you find it?
Okay, when I say Thomas.
No,
you are talking City. Okay, when I say Samson Ladia. When I say Kojo
Opongruma.
Okay.
Akuto.
When I say what other name is there?
Kweku
Sechiado.
Hello, Kweku Baku. It has to be one of the two.
One of the
All
Kwesi
Pratt. That can be only one.
Kwesi Pratt. I'm thinking of a more common name that we can confuse. Francis
Xavier Susu.
He's now.
Or Francis Kofi Davo.
No, Francis. You know, there are some names that are not common, like Alban,
Sumana.
Yeah, there's no. I've known anybody called Alban. So Alban, he has captured the names, colonized the name. But let's think of another name.
Bright Simmons.
Yeah, it's not a very common name. So Bright.
No, Bright is actually quite a common name in this country.
It's very common in the Ashanti BA areas.
Yeah. Also, the Evers use it a lot.
I have a lot of Bright friends who are from the BA area.
Yeah, with different spellings. Yeah, I've seen a Brite. I've seen the Brith.
So Bright is Bright Simmons.
Yeah, that's right.
What about Charles
Benoni?
That is Lumba. Charles Kojofusu.
No,
that one they don't
Charles
know.
Benoni Okai.
Okay.
Charles Benoni Okai. It's a journalist.
I know. Of course, I know Charles.
I don't think of Lumba as Charles anything.
Hey,
Lumba.
You are not a proper Lumba person. Every Lumba person knows of him as Charles Kojofusu.
Collins
Dowda. He did that.
Your mind spoiled. Okay, me you are Kwesi.
Kwesi Pratt.
Okay. I'm thinking of another name. John
Gachi.
Yao.
John Gachi or John Mahama? Or John Kufo?
No, I think John Mahama more than John Gachi.
Because
we were talking about the economy, that's why I mentioned John Gachi. Yeah. John is more Mahama. Yeah. If they even call him John.
Yeah, but you see, because the name, 3 Johns have been in charge of the thing. So
let me spot the mix for you. Nana
is the president.
If you say Nana immediately.
Nana is the president. He's the only Nana now. Nana is the president.
Oh no, are you sure?
Nana is president.
Nana Bodo.
When you say Nana,
you know Nana Bodo.
When you say Nana, the name that comes to my mind is the president.
Oh yeah. Are you sure?
Oh yes. When you say Nana,
in Ghana right now, if you say Nana,
that's
immediately.
If you say John, I think about the former president. If you say Nana, I think about the current.
The current one.
If you say what other one? I want a Bible name. Andrew.
Liver salt.
You need help.
I think of liver salt.
Andrew Fosu.
No, it's too far.
Andrew Usu.
I think of liver salt.
Andrew Mercer.
No,
yeah.
It's far.
No, it's far.
It's far.
We do associate.
But you remember some Andrew B2 was in the news from the US. You know,
Otukuno.
So you are Peter Otukuno. So
yes.
Politics, you are Peter Kwoti. So you are an economist.
Yes.
Nathan
Obola.
Nathan
Obodai.
There can be only one cow.
Nathan
There can be only one.
I'm thinking of another one.
Nathan Kou.
I'm thinking of a Paul. I mentioned Paul already.
Yeah.
Okay. Simon
Osemensa, the Ashanti regional minister. Yeah.
It's not a very.
And also, if you go back, Simon Abinja, you remember that name?
It's too far. Charlie, you do politics too much.
Chair too much.
Life.
Yeah, Simon Abinja.
I better let me confess.
Okay, Gabriel.
Batistuta.
Gabriel
Batistuta.
Gabriel Puama.
Oh yeah. You know, those days when he was PNC General Secretary, the recall will be there. But now, yeah, because Supreme.
What about Gabi?
There's only one Gabi. Daku baby.
In fact, the name no.
Gabi.
There can be only one.
You monopolize the name.
Yeah, taking over the name.
Gab Productions.
Yeah. But also Gabi,
you see what we say?
Gabi Ajete.
No, now
but
the new Gabi has taken over.
Then Nana no.
Okay, I'm coming.
So Bedia 2 doesn't come.
No. Nana is the president.
If you mention Bedia 2,
mention Nana Bedia 2, they call him Bedia 2. But Nana is the president. Nah, Nana, sure.
That's sure. I'm a shake.
What?
Shake.
I see quick.
There's only one.
Just that there's a young one who is misbehaving these days. Shake off it.
Charlie, whilst you're at it, grab your favorite Coca-Cola. It's a great drink for all your occasions. The Coca-Cola Classic 300 ml comes at only 5 cedis. And the Coke Zero Fanta or Sprite is even cheaper, just 4 cedis. You can also grab your favorite 1.5 liter Coke Classic for only 20 cedis and the same size bottle for 18 cedis for Fanta, Coke Zero or Sprite. Everybody is looking for that one thing that pushes them to bring out their best, enable them to reach peak performance. Your car wants this too. That's why your best bet is to give it Shell Helix engine oil. It's the lubricants boom koswahine. Shell Helix is specially designed to bring out the best of your engine, protecting it from wear and tear while providing the power and performance needed to give you the best ride. Choose Shell Helix. Visit your Shell station today and experience the difference for yourself. Before Nathan, when I say Koku.
Koku best man.
Koku Anyido. Koku is Anyido. He's the main Koku in the system.
He's missing Eva.
He has colonized the Koku name. I mean, I don't know if you use the name again. Charlie Koku Anyido.
Koku Anyido.
Also known as Koku Anyido.
And there's also David.
The David no they come.
David Arnold.
No.
The question.
Eh?
David the question.
Oh, you like football too much.
No, no, he's an actor.
He's an actor.
Back in the day. Remember by the far side?
By the far side, yes.
The kid who used to play Anna.
Donto.
No.
David is the Donto. Is it David Donto?
I think that the question more than Donto.
You are too old.
No, but the question is our age group.
David Donto.
David
the Donto. David, the main David is Donto. Agro. Why you bad? Actually, David Donto. Okay, Abeku Santana.
Abeku Santana.
Okay, Kwame
Baniako.
Or Chairman Kwame.
Kwame is a bad guy.
Yeah.
That's what Kwame they are playing.
Yeah, they are playing.
But who is the most common Kwame in Ghana?
Challenge competitive.
Kwame Sefakai.
You know, well,
because you say
people
Kwame,
would normally call him Sefakai.
Somebody say Kwame Nkrumah.
It's true. It's true. It's true. Kwame Nkrumah.
No,
it's true. Call him Nkrumah.
The question.
No. Nobody called Kwame Nkrumah just Nkrumah.
You are changing the question. The question is not who is the most important or famous Kwame.
Yeah, which name comes to mind?
The question is that when I say Kwame,
which
who
name
you
comes
think
to
about?
mind?
Because this is a test of what you are thinking about in your relationship. It's not about who is the greatest.
Yes.
That issue of who is the greatest is Kwame Nkrumah.
That's what I'm saying. That people would normally refer to him Nkrumah.
No, it's not. I'm not saying there's a right answer. I say when I say Kwame, what comes into your head?
That's not say Kwame Eugene.
Yeah, that's what comes into your head.
Kwame Eugene.
I'm somebody to say Kwame Jokoto.
Part 1 and 2. Bernard Avle was an time no call baby. Now send you a while to Nathan was at Arabia Beshebi.
A man with an error name who can speak fancy like that.
I don't know what they're do some show which this man ate a whole car head by himself. Wow. The whole head of a car
on TV.
I'm telling you.
Wow.
You put the car head in front of you. That's why we joke too.
Anyway. Nathan, before you come in, I wanted to just remind you about something while we're at it. This Mother's Day, Citi FM and Citi TV, we are creating a platform for you to celebrate your mother with a grand gesture through a portrait of Mama. So whether your mother is Anita, Julia, Valeria, Pamela, or all the names that rappers mention in their music, in 100 words or less, celebrate Mama for making the most important intervention that changed the course of your life. Your entry should begin with "But for Mama." Submit your name, your mama's name, and your contact information. Send your entry via WhatsApp 054-998-6996 or 020-444-7033. That's 054-998-6996 or 020-444-7033. Send in that captivating story about your mama, and you could win a spot for her at the Portrait of Mama dinner event and other thoughtful prizes. Deadline for submission of entries 30th April 2023. You can also call 0205-973-973. Portrait of Mama, brought to you by Citi. Okay, quick one before Nathan. Ivan
a diamond.
Kashiga.
So you are into education and you are into film and production. Nathan, if I say Ivan, what comes to your head?
A diamond, sir.
Okay. When I say Jerry.
I got Jerry, the only one, Jerry.
No, when you say Jerry, I think of Jerry Avenogo.
Oh,
Yeah,
Jerry,
think
Charlie,
about
Jerry,
Jerry.
come here, Charlie. Jerry, they here. Oh, Charlie, Jerry, they come.
No.
Jerry, they Charlie, there can only be one Jerry.
Really? When I think of him, Jerry Ameshaibu. You think of Rollins?
Oh yeah, Jerry, there, Charlie. Jerry, come the place, so Charlie.
Speaking of which, tomorrow there's a book launch on Jerry John Rawlings.
Is it? What's the title?
Yes. Yeah, don't worry, we will be there.
What's the title?
Richard, Sky, and I.
What's the title of the book? On Jerry Rawlings.
Yes, hold on. Hold on 1 second. I'll get that for you.
Okay. So we're still on it. So Nathan has a couple of quick announcements for us.
Yes, April is the month of jazz, and Alliance Francaise Accra is inviting you to the Société Générale Ghana Jazz Festival. It's a week-long celebration of jazz in all its forms. Now, there are 2 concert days. 28th April, you see Pamela Badjogo from Gabon, followed by the renowned Victor Day Quartet. They will be performing. And April 29th, we'll see Chale from Benin and the multi-talented Kwame Yeboah and the Kwame Band from Ghana. Tickets are going for 50 cedis a day and 30 cedis for students. Follow at AF_Accra on all socials for updates and workshop registration. The Société Générale Ghana Jazz Festival is powered by Alliance Francaise Accra. Now, you contribute to the growth and success of the Ghanaian textile industry every time you wear your authentic fabrics. GTP says thank you. Always purchase original, genuine, and authentic GTP fabrics. Contact 050-994-0949 to buy online or visit any of the accredited dealers nationwide or any within shop. GTP Lifestyle.
Okay, quick one. When I mentioned the name Carlos,
Wombrati.
Carlos.
What about Carl?
Carl to 4.
Lewis.
Carl to 4.
Yeah, Carl.
Lewis.
Carl to 4.
What about Nicholas?
Nicholas
Duncan Williams.
Nicholas Duncan
As for
Williams.
Nico,
All of you. Nathan, is it Duncan Williams?
Yeah, I get it.
No, I'm not asking you a quiz question. I'm asking what comes into your head.
Oh, well, yeah, Duncan Williams.
When I say Tabitha.
Joshua.
Alabi.
Kimmich.
Yeah,
Rebecca.
Akufuado.
Solomon.
Asante.
Cancer.
Fifi.
Kwete.
Fifi. Yours is Kwete.
When is Taki?
Fifi Kwete. As for that one, yeah, Fifi.
And for Fifi, they told us with Taki.
But when I say Solomon, what came to your head?
In Cancer.
Asante.
Footballer. In Cancer is a politician.
Yeah.
Is that a Lee win? No.
That's his
I know Cancer, yeah, the guy, the spokesperson.
Okay, what about Ernest?
Ernest Abuaji.
Ernest what?
For me, Cranting.
Ernest Nogbe.
No, and there's no, that's.
If you have to think about it, then it's not immediate.
Yeah, doesn't.
Charlie, there's group think. Nathan, it's like you are letting the people influence your thinking.
No, not necessarily. I'm also giving my own commentary.
Charlie, somebody said Jerry are coming cool.
But let me just give you this one quickly. So the book is actually being launched tomorrow.
Okay.
It's called Revolution and Democracy in Ghana.
Okay.
The Politics of Jerry John Rawlings by Professor Jeffrey Haynes. And it's going to be, we have Dr. Benjamin Kumbo and Mr. Kofi Totobi Kwachi, who will be speaking on this. Professor Jeffrey Haynes.
On Rawlings.
Yeah, we actually interviewed him on the big issue not too long ago.
I remember you put him on.
Yes. He did his PhD on Jerry Rawlings.
Charlie.
He lived in Ghana for 7 years.
The avatar of Jerry
Rawlings.
Rawlings studies.
Yeah, and we have the analysis of the book. Just listen to this list too. Professor Kwesieni. Dr. Samuel Kofi Dakwa, Dr. Rosina Foley, Dr. Mami Ajwa Jechijando, Dr. Michael Pesa White.
Everybody's there.
Yes. Richard Sky will also
and
be
Ben
there.
Kumbo is what?
He's the MC.
MC Kwan.
Yeah,
And then it's a heavy everywhere. Last one, Thomas.
Obinna.
No, it's Party. Thomas Party. What about Mohammed?
Mohammed Kudus.
Ali.
So use Ali Kudus. Mohammed Kudus.
It's Mohammed, they have to think about it.
Mohammed Salah.
Sure, but it didn't come to me like that.
But they call him Mo, right? More.
No, they call him Mohammed. The Mo is the British people who call him Mo. The Arab world, nobody calls him Mo. They call him Mohammed. But Mohammed Salah, I think of him as Salah than Mohammed.
Yeah, it's true.
I think of him as Salah than Mohammed.
What about Kofi?
Kofi.
Kofi Kinata. What if I told you that first things first and that there are things etched in stone that never change? For example, 1 comes before 2, A before B, and B comes before N. And at FBN, our goal is to put you, our cherished customer, first. Our financial services offer the gold standard of value and excellence. And if I told you that if you deserve the final things in life, it means you should bank with FBN Bank, where we put the B before the N. Think FBN, you first. Second social media trends is next with Nathan. All right, so what's in the trends this morning?
Well, a number of different things. Thomas Partey is trending. Yesterday, the shortlist for the team of the season was released online, and several people are talking about why Thomas Partey did not make it in there as well. For the basketball fans, a few things concerning the NBA playoffs are also trending. Curry, Clay trending, Warriors trending. They are down 0-2 to the Sacramento Kings in the NBA playoffs. Hashtag YNWA is also trending. Of course, Liverpool absolutely shellacked Leeds by 6-1. Hashtag City CBS is equally trending. And you have some of these other things trending as well. In terms of the tech news, though, WhatsApp and other encrypted messaging apps are uniting against a certain law plan that's coming in from the UK. Now, encrypted messaging services have jointly called for changes to parts of the UK online safety bill. Sky, I'm sure you know of this. Now, WhatsApp, Session, Signal, Element, Threema, Viber, and Wire have all signed a letter asking the government to urgently rethink the proposed law. Critics say that the bill could undermine end-to-end encryption, the privacy technology these companies provide. Now, ministers want the regulator to be able to ask the platforms to monitor users to root out child abuse images. But the government says it is possible to have both privacy and child safety. So that's the lowdown that's coming in. So expect that a lot of these messaging platforms will be going back and forth with the government on these.
Most likely a lot of lawsuits.
Yes. So that's the lowdown that's coming in. WhatsApp and other messaging services are uniting to fight the new UK government plan on end-to-end encryption and all that.
And what's happening with this party thing? Is there a formula they use for selecting the best in
this is what I don't
because
think,
I don't think
party
no proper configuration of a team that should not have party.
Yeah, of course. I don't think party makes it for footballing reasons.
Unless, of course, it's been done by British people.
I think he did not make the short list
for marketing reasons.
For other reasons. For marketing reasons.
Because we all know that Partey is one of the best.
The main man.
So that was second social media trends.
One day, an old lady inherited a huge sum of money. Her family worried about how to break the good news to her. They feared that the sudden good news might give her a heart attack. And so they decided the family doctor who was experienced in delivering such news should be the one to tell her. And when he did, surprisingly, she just smiled. Relieved, he asked, "What are you going to do with all that money?" She replied, "I'm going to give you half." The doctor had a heart attack. People are often surprised when we put them first. At FBN Bank, that's what we do. We put you first. Open an account with us today and enjoy mobile banking, USSD banking, shop and pay with our prepaid Visa cards, MasterCard, and many other services designed with you in mind. FBN Bank, you first.
Join the conversation on the Citi Breakfast Show on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag CitiCBS.
Tired of running out of space on your phone just when you need it the most? Do you constantly struggle to decide which apps, videos, and pictures to delete to make way for new ones? Well, sit up and listen. For a limited time only, Samsung is offering you a chance to double your phone storage for just 50 cedis extra. That's right, when you're buying the Samsung Galaxy A14 or Galaxy A04e with a storage space of 32 gig, you just have to pay 50 cedis extra to get a 64 gigabyte phone. You can also double from 64 gig to 128 gigabytes for the same deal. No more struggling to decide what to delete and no more missed photo opportunities. Visit any Samsung authorized store from 17th to 24th April to enjoy this sweet Eid offer. Terms and conditions apply.
Say Lonat, 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 Lonat. Lonat, 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 Lonat. Lonat, Lonat. Young coach got Lonat. Lonat, Lonat. Malaria super Lonat. Everybody follow not sa malaria. A treating till Lonat now. Won't malaria chill. Popo. What will you do? I want you. Lonat. Lonat. Dabako. Lonat. Adamienu, Lonat, Adamiensa, Lonat, no. Lonat, scatter malaria. Lonat, it scatter malaria.
A quality product from Blaze GVS Pharma. Yenshishemu who se malaria wa umujam ansana wanum Lonat. Na namien search na malaria no daso wa ko hu dokota.
This advert is FDA approved. There's no price like the ShopRite price. That's why we are committed to bringing you lower prices on all the essentials you need. Like 1.3 Sierra Frozen Hoji.
I decided against it.
You've given up?
I decided to wait because the time I wanted to buy the car, the exchange rate didn't make any sense, right? So you see a car which is $20,000, and the time you started thinking about buying the car, the CD was around 8. Then by the time we finished discussing the car, it was like 11. So I decided I was going to buy. But the other reason was that usually when you want to buy a car, you speak to a clearing agent. And the clearing agent will calculate based on the car's description, the age of the car, the price of the car, the potential duties you would pay. All right. And Sky, for me, I think that this is one of the serious issues in the country. So there are good things about this. The good thing is that the overdependence on imports may reduce, right? Because the ports aren't doing that well. And it's not necessarily a good thing now. But if you are trying to shift away from import dependence and you are trying to come up with local substitutes and you are trying to reduce the pressure on the city, it may not be a bad thing, right? Because you are importing finished products and you are exporting raw material, you'll be forced to look for local alternatives. But the problem, though, is that things like cars, we are not manufacturing enough in the quantities that will make the price affordable.
But aren't we importing too many cars as well?
That's the point. But I don't know. But the examples of the things that are being affected by the port is not just cars.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Yesterday when I interviewed Fabak, John Awuni said that even raw materials that they use, he actually gave me an example, so that if you are buying a part for something that you are fixing, so if you are into breweries and you have to bring in some component, I mean, that number of taxes, I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, about 16 taxes, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 charges. Like, it doesn't make sense.
Why?
See, so let me give you an example. Somebody wants to buy a Chevrolet.
Mm-hmm.
A Chevrolet Sonic hatchback, right?
Let me look at that car.
Chevrolet Sonic hatchback, which costs $10,000. So it's an old car. It's a cheap car, $10,000. Now, at the time this was being processed, this is just last month, the dollar exchange rate at the
very
port
small car.
was 11 cedis to the dollar.
Mm-hmm.
So the $10,000 times 11 is 112,000 cedis. All right, so you're going to look for 112,000 cedis to buy a car. Okay. Now, the number of taxes you pay on this car, if you put it, so let's take it one by one. There's an import duty, all right? And that import duty is the basic import duty is 12,000 cedis, right? The import duty is 10%. And this 10% is 10% on the value of the car, right? At CIF, 12,000 cedis. Then there's something called import VAT. So there's between the duty and the VAT. Now, I don't understand how you're adding VAT. Are you adding value to the car? So why is there VAT on it? Isn't VAT supposed to be on services? So is the import VAT a VAT on the service of import? Right? Because the basic definition of VAT is value-added service.
Mm-hmm.
So if I import a used car from US, why are you charging me an import VAT of, look at the percentage of the import VAT, 15%. So now you're paying 12,000 for import duty, 21,000 for import VAT. Then there's an ECOWAS levy of 600 cedis, right? And that ECOWAS levy of 600 cedis is basically a 0.50% of the value of the car, all right? Then I'm paying a vehicle examination fee of 1,200 cedis. Again, the vehicle examination fee is derived from some calculation, 1% of the value of the car. And since the car was 112,000, 1,200, right? Then you are paying a network charge of 448 cedis to Incomes. Network charge. Again, this network charge, when you calculate it, the network charge is defined in a very interesting way. Like, 0.4% of the value of the car. So 448 cedis, right? Then you have a network charge VAT. Charlie. So you are paying a network charge and they are VATing the charge. So it's like a tax upon tax, right? And the network charge VAT, this is beyond ridiculous. Network charge VAT is different from the network charge NHIL. And there's also a network charge COVID. So that one network charge is suffering from 3 different taxes. A network charge VAT, which is 70.62, a network charge COVID of 4.48. Then there's a Ghana Shippers Authority fee of $9. Then there's an import NHIL. So you've paid import duty of 12,000, import VAT of 21,000. There's an import NHIL of 3,304 cedis, right? Then you have an import charge NHIL. The network charge, there are 4 things. Network charge VAT, network charge COVID, and a network charge NHIL. So on one network charge, you are paying 4 taxes on the network charge. So everybody is taking their share of the network charge, right? Then you have an import NHIL of 3,000, right? Then you have the GHS disinfection fee. So I didn't know they disinfected cars. So apparently you disinfect the car, and the amount you are paying is 330 cedis. All right. I've not finished though. Now, this disinfection fee, I want to give you the percentage calculation. The disinfection fee, I can't find it. It's somewhere. Then you have the Ministry of Trade and Industry E1D1F fee. So apparently, because we are trying to do import substitution 1D1F, somebody had a clever idea that when somebody imports something, charge him a fee so that I can use the money to do one district, one factory. Like, this is ridiculous. So this import, this multi E1D1F fee, what's the percentage, Seth? I'm looking for it. Right. But then it amounted to, in the case of this Chevrolet car, 5 cedis. Right? 5 cedis. Then it's a seed, it's a levy, or it's a fee. So now there's a special import levy of 2%. That is 2,400 cedis. Right? So I've already paid 12,000 on import duty. I've paid 21,000 on import VAT. I've paid 3,000 for import NHIL. I've paid 1,002 for vehicle examination fee. Paid 600 for ECOWAS levy. Paid 330 for Ghana Health Service disinfection fee. Now you're paying 2,400 for special import levy of 2%. Then you have the EXIM levy of 901 cedis. Then you have the Get Fund import levy of 3,304 cedis. Then you have a network charge Get Fund levy. So the network charge there, it has suffered. It has network charge has suffered. It has 5 taxes on it. That's 11 cedis. Then you have AU import levy, 240. And then you have the COVID health recovery levy, 1,300. Now guess what? The total taxes, duties, levies, fees, and charges on a car that cost 112,000 cedis is 47,000 cedis. That's close to 50%, or maybe 45%. But that's even low. And this is as of you haven't added other things, so you haven't started repairing the car. All right. So, and the other problem is that because the taxes are so many, if you listen to the people in the port, they are saying that our port traffic has gone down because we are competing against Togo and Abidjan, Lomé. There's more certainty there, we are told. In fact, I was making a point yesterday, and I just wanted to corroborate that point. If you go to, if you track cargo traffic in the Gulf of Guinea, if you track cargo traffic in the Gulf of Guinea, there are about 5,400 seagoing vessels that cross the Gulf of Guinea every year, right? And Sky, that number has not reduced. So if the Ghana port is saying that traffic has reduced from June to now, it just means that we are losing business to Togo and Abidjan, because the volume coming to the sub-region is the same. Okay. Now, if I use the example of a 2010 Camry, 7 West, right? A Toyota Camry of 2010, and we did our calculation on air yesterday. The value of the car, free on board, right? 2010 Toyota Camry, value of the car free on board is 114,000 cedis. So a bit similar to your car. Now, this car is a 2010 car, so if I'm buying it this month, it means I have to pay a duty for old car. So let me give you the taxes. Import duty of 10%. It takes it to 12,000 cedis, right? Import VAT of 15%. And this 15% is not just on the value of the car. It's 15% on import duty plus import NHL plus import Get Fund plus COVID health as the base. It takes my amount to 21,000. Processing fee, I don't know yet. ECOWAS levy, 626 cedis. Vehicle examination fee, 1,250. Network charge, 459. Network charge VAT, 72. Network charge COVID health, 4.6. Import NHIL, 3,446. Network charge NHIL, 11.49. Vehicle overage penalty of 20%. So because the car is more than 10 years old, you are paying a 20% on that. That's 25,000 cedis. Right? Special import levy of 2%, 2,500. Ghana Export Import Bank EXIM levy of 0.75, 939 cedis. Get Fund import levy or duty. Get Fund import duty, 3,446. Network charge Get Fund levy, 11.49. AU levy, 250. COVID health recovery levy, I don't even know what these things mean. 1378. Ghana Shippers Authority fee, $9. GHS disinfection fee, $330. Moti ED E1D1F fee, 5 cedis. Sky, for a car that costs 114,000 cedis, your total taxes, fees, and charges are 74,000 cedis. Now, if you calculate that 74,000 cedis on the FOB price, that 74,000 cedis is close to 64%.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, so, and the funny thing is that Ghana still has a low tax level in terms of tax to GDP ratio of 30%. Now, that tells you that our tax policies are wrong-headed. We are targeting the same people and we are overtaxing them. A lot of people are not paying, and so you are not able to raise enough revenue, and you are punishing those who pay with these obnoxious taxes. And I'm going to add a special 20% excise duty. I don't know if you have the audio of this guy, the guy I interviewed yesterday. He was saying that, look, a lot of businesses are collapsed. In fact, there's a story on GNA where Abraham Kumsin is saying that most of the industrial companies are going out of business.
Going out of business.
You know, I was talking to a guy yesterday about a company that we did some work with. And they said, oh, the company, they've stopped working. Everybody has gone home. Another media house says, oh, they've closed. Everybody's gone home. So it's like a lot of people are just packing shop and closing. So go home, you know. And I feel like there has to be a conversation about this extortionist approach. Because to have 16 taxes on one product and then 7 charges, so that's 20. 16 plus 7 is what?
23.
How?
Let me ask you a question. One of our listeners, Neil Antivan Codison, says, Bernard, how do you want us to implement our automotive policy if these taxes are not put in place on importing cars?
Very good question. Your automotive policy is essentially meant to assemble vehicles. Okay. Now, I don't want to bash somebody's policy in terms of whether just bringing the various parts, because the real value is creating the parts. So the first problem with the automotive policy is that different countries have added value to raw materials and just created components that you are just putting together. So it's not real value addition. So that's the first problem. All right. But fair and square. So you are saying you are doing vehicle. What is the average price of the vehicle being assembled here? How does it compare to the average income? It's not like when the Nigerians were doing Peugeot cars where the price was really affordable. Okay. A lot of these cars, they still price it in dollars. So if you say you want to bring in, it's like saying you want to bring in, you see, when it's used, but they make the argument for rice, right? So if you were going to have enough automotive assembly for the price to be low enough for the average worker to afford it, then you can say you are going to prevent dumping, you're going to have an import substitution. So import substitution is not prohibitive tariffs. Import substitution is preparing the ground to have competitive production. Then you use both tariff and non-tariff barriers to support. So there are places where you support the local producer, right? You make now. John Awuni is producing. Okay, good question. Let me even give you another one. The things I sent you were for an imported finished product. Let me send you an imported raw material. All right, an imported raw material. So this is, say, clinker. You're a cement. Maybe you are Jata cement, and you're bringing in clinker to do your cement. Let me mention the charges you pay on imported raw material. This is not imported finished product. Because the thing about creating anything is that no one country has all the parts required to build anything. So even if in Ghana we are making shoes, Toyin
so have to import something.
Let's assume Toyin is importing leather from Nigeria or from Italy to make his shoes. He will pay an import duty of 10%, import VAT of 15%, import NHL of 2.5%, import get fund levy of 2.5%, import COVID of 1%, ECOWAS levy of 0.5%. If he's importing from outside ECOWAS, he will pay a network charge of 0.4%, network NHL of 0.01%, network get fund levy 0.01%, network COVID 0.004%, network VAT 0.064%. This person is manufacturing in Ghana. Special import levy 2%, export import levy 0.75%, inspection fee 1%, AU levy 0.2%. Now, when he puts all his taxes that he's paying on that leather together, he's paying 39.03% of the value of this raw material as tax. He's not finished. He will now pay disinfection fee of $30, Ghana Shippers Council fee of 9 cedis, Ministry of Trade E1D1F fee of 5 cedis, FDB charge of 300 cedis, shipping line cost of 6,640 cedis, for the thing he's bringing in. He will pay MPS to 1,340, and he also pay freight of 1,600. And how is he going to price his shoe to compete? So somebody will bring
shoes from China.
Well, let's assume you are doing textiles, and you need to bring. So the point is, this is not just for finished goods. So for intermediate goods as well, it's very expensive. So I think the policy we adopt is the tax definition is narrow, the taxes are prohibitive, and it's counterproductive. Listen to Awuni, he's in the industry. Then we can take some more questions.
Well, I will say that it's very disappointing, and indeed a death warrant has been signed for those manufacturing firms. And I also say that it's a complete contradiction of the mantra of the government that one DF, one DF.
1D1F.
One what?
1D1F, you mean?
1D1F, I mean. So it appears to be against their. That's completely. They shot themselves in the foot, because you cannot seem to say that you are promoting industry and then you have come out with a tax that is completely going to shoot down that industry. The exercise tax that they talk about, 20%, if indeed they go ahead to implement it, I'm very hopeful that in the past there have been taxes that have been approved by Parliament but have not been implemented by the executive. So I'm still very hopeful that the President will heed to the cry of industry. The President will heed to the cry of the individual and the ordinary Ghanaian on the street. The President will heed to the call of civil society and the generality of the Ghanaian public that things are not going well. The 20% exercise duty will if implemented, will effectively be like a 28% tax that will be applied on the final commodity. And if we talk about exercise duty, it basically means ex-factory production. What it means, Bernard, is that when this exercise duty is implemented, unfortunately, if it is implemented, after you have paid the import duty, 10% on your raw material, in some cases, let me acknowledge that in some cases, some raw material is 5%. But after you have paid 10% import duty on raw material, paid import VAT, which is 15%, import NHIL, 2.5%, import get fund, 2.5%, import COVID-19, which is 1%, ECOWAS levy, 0.5%, network charge, which is 0.4%, network NHIL, which is 0.01%, network get fund levy, which is 0.01%, get network COVID-19, which is 0.004%, network VAT, which is 0.064%, special import duty 2%, export import levy 0.75%, inspection fee of 1%, African Union levy 0.2%. The compounded in tax is 39.03%. Then, in addition, you pay disinfection fee, pay Ghana Shippers Council fee, pay MOTI, pay FDA, pay shipping line, pay MPS, and then pay for your freight. After you have paid all these multitude of taxes, and then you get into your warehouse, you pay your warehousing fees. So there are now local fees, local overheads that you are going to take care of. The local overheads includes your salaries, your wages and salaries that you will be paying, plant maintenance fees. You are going to be paying for Food and Drugs Board fees. You are going to pay for EPA people. You pay for Standard Authority. You pay SNIT. You pay Fire Service. You pay whatever you pay, all those things, that finally that you those costs, you produce the final product. After you have produced the final product, then you will now slap 20% on the cost of the final product. I hope you're getting me right.
Mm-hmm.
After you have produced everything, if your cost is from the port to your warehouse is 100 cedis. And within the warehouse, all the overheads you have added in producing the product, maybe it's 20 cedis. You've added 20 cedis. Then the total cost now is 120 cedis. You now charge 20% of the 120 cedis and pay tax on it to the government before you now sell it out to the. You now add your profit margin and then send it out to the wholesaler. Then the wholesaler also now bill up his own fees, loading and offloading.
Wow.
Transportation, warehousing, labor, and then add a margin. Then the wholesaler also give it to the retailer. The retailer also take it, transloading and offloading, warehousing, and then add retailing, the labor fees and add margin, and then find to the final consumer. So consequently, a product that began from overseas as maybe 50 cedis per unit will end up to be like 200 cedis to the Ghanaian consumer. And so when I hear very educated people and people that you seem you must respect say that yes, the inflation in the country is being driven by traders, they are extorting Ghanaian consumers, they are not patriotic. I just bow my head in disappointment because they must understand exactly what is happening.
All right, so I'm looking at the schedule of the import duty charges you've gone through, and I see 16 tax items of various kinds, bringing the total to 39%. Then I see fees and charges, which are about 7, in addition to the 16. And you're telling me that all of these are before you add the 20% excise tax that has just been approved?
All of this, not all of these are just the first leg or the first leg. After you have added all this to your cost, you now bring it to your warehouse. And when you bring the product to your warehouse, that is a raw material. And now you are beginning to produce the product. So there are other costs that is going to cost of production of the raw material. After you have produced, then you now charge 20% of the cost of the overall, the grand total cost of the product. Before you now, and you pay tax on that one to the government. It is mind-boggling the way people we run our systems. And when I look at the system of the tax system in the country, it is not engineered or designed for that matter to create room for industry to grow. No wonder we have remained agrarian society. I wrote O levels in the 90s, 80s, 90s. And for that matter, the issues that we talk about industry development in the country, and all these are still the same problems that we learned during our O levels times. Nothing has changed.
All right.
And when we come into the system and say that, well, basically, we want to change the country and then promote industry. And then suddenly, you come in with this whole array of taxes that are basically killer. And then when you want to talk, then they respond as if there was just no tax at all on the product. They are now beginning to tax.
So that was John Awuni. We will talk to the GRA to explain the difference between some of these taxes. Because, Sky, I honestly, look, I did a bit of economics, but I don't understand some of this. Like, you have an import duty, you have an import VAT, then you have an import NHIL. Mm-hmm. Now, the import VAT is calculated not on the basic cost of the vehicle. Mm-hmm. It's like a compounded base. They put different of the new taxes you pay inside, and then they add the import on all of it. So all the services within the service you are VATed for. Then for one charge, for network charge, which you pay, I think, to ECOMS, it has like 7 descendants. Network charge VAT, network charge COVID health, network charge NHIL, network charge this, network charge that. I don't understand it. And then the NHIL get fund, they have different iterations. Network charge get fund. You know? And then there's COVID health recovery levy. Then there's also network charge COVID. So I'm not sure how COVID is dealing with itself and dealing with another tax. You know, and you know the problem. the GRA may have to admit, at least from the customs side, that, and this is funny, the issue with port is volumes. So if I have 100 containers, it's better than having 50 containers, right? We are not getting the volumes because there are other ports that are offering more certainty and possibly more sensible taxes.
Yeah.
So the volumes are not coming in here. And we are suffering. So you are raising the rate, but you are still suffering because if you are now if you are raising the rate from 12.5 to 15, and now you are raising to 17, if you put it at 17, the number of cars reduced from 100 to 50. Right? So the few who are importing necessities will have to now suffer for it.
Yeah.
So the government's revenue policy a lot of times does not agree with its industrialization or business development policy. So they will say, we want to be the engine of growth. We want to support private sector. Look, a lot of companies are in business just because of pride. You know how when a football team plays for pride, it's like you don't want to stop the business or you are thinking about, Charlie. But honestly, to do business in Ghana, and then the GRA, has somebody tackled you before? Or we tackle? Not tackle in football though. They tackle you.
They just you, Charlie.
So what do they do?
They hold you.
Yeah, they will say they've done some. Apart from all of this, they've done some tax assessment for the past 4 years and you owe 2 million. And they'll be tackling you as if you've committed some crime. You are the one producing for the country. They are collecting the money. And they are making it look like you are sinning by doing business. So maybe we should all go and work for government. If you all just retire and go and work at customs or senate and pay income tax. Because people are creating business. They are creating opportunity. And the other thing is that businesses are employing people. We have about 200. The fact that we are not saying we shouldn't pay tax, but the government's tax policy is destroying businesses and it's destroying the country. There's no other way to say it. Because you see, you are in a recession. You've given people haircuts. People have invested, you've taken their money. Now, the business that is employing them too, you want the business to collapse by collecting their money. And then you say you've moved from taxation to production. But you are taxing the production to a point where it doesn't make sense to produce. Electricity bills have gone up by 30%. Fuel prices have gone up. If you do a business that requires diesel, let's assume your business involves you are clearing land to do farming. You need diesel for your excavator to build a house. Diesel prices jumped almost, what percentage, right? And all of this is increasing the cost of your business. And now they are attacking you as if you have committed some crime by starting a business. So people will move their business outside the country. I know people who say, I have a friend who says he's taking his company to Rwanda. He wants more certainty because they are giving better terms. And I'm saying that the government's tax policy is going to destroy the private sector. And people are going to lose work. Now, what is even interesting is that the Ghana Federation of Labor. Okay, Ghana Federation of Labor. Let me read 2 stories for you. Read. And if I can call him. The Ghana Federation of Labor says the consistent introduction of new taxes in the country is a threat to the national economic development. Abraham Kumsin, GFL Secretary General, who spoke to the GNA in Tema, said companies had employees and paid their salaries. It's national service we are doing. Look, do you know that an entrepreneur can decide to close his business and go and work for somebody?
That's true.
He can decide to go and work for somebody. And he'll get a job. He says employees paid their salaries as well as social security, contributing to the improvement of the standard of living of Ghanaians. Hence, the numerous taxes could have adverse effects on your operations. He advised the government not to compel factories to move from the country because some companies had already begun to reduce their workforce, while others were planning to shut down soon. Mr. Kumsin stressed that the closure of the companies would adversely affect government revenue, all for its development programs, and increase the unemployment rate in the country. He cautioned that if the local companies would not be revived for the survival of the country, foreign countries investing in the country must not be discouraged. The GFL Secretary General urged the government to consider the implications of the excise duty bill on manufacturing industry, saying it will cripple companies and increase unemployment. The GFL continues to receive calls from chief executive officers of companies and other stakeholders raising concern that the new laws are rushed and passed without proper consultation to weigh the implications on the industry. Then let me read another story. He said, Tema industries are struggling to survive. About 95% of all industries established in Tema under Dr. Kaku Nkrumah's Tema industrialization regime have collapsed. Same guy, Ram Kumsin, disclosed this to the GNA in an interview in Tema, and this is April 6. He said those that managed to survive successive governments were struggling with their operations. He said the lack of concern for the survival of these companies by successive governments was worrying, and that their existence in the country must be focused of the economic development team of subsequent governments. The unionist was visibly unhappy about the collapse of the companies, mentioned some of the companies as Ghana Textile Manufacturing Company, GTMC, they've collapsed, Tema Textile Limited, collapse, Tema Food Complex, collapse, State Housing Corporation, collapse, Black Star Line, collapse, Sanyo, collapse, Akasanoma, collapse, Pioneer Aluminium, collapse, Ghana Aluminium, collapse, ICI, collapse, BBC, collapse, Meat Factory, collapse, Mankwazi Fisheries, collapse, African Motors, collapse, Super Paper, collapse, West Code Textile, collapse. It says companies like Textile Limited, which is GTP, Volta Aluminium Company, Vaco, Tema Oil Refinery, Aluworks, Nestle, and Steelworks are managing to survive despite prohibitive operational costs and taxation that is making them struggle. And you see, you can go and collect 2 million tax from a company and say you are raising revenue for government. That company will sack 2,000 workers, and there'll be 2,000 mouths to feed. 2,000 people not working. Do you know the number of teenage pregnancies that will evolve? Do you know the number of spousal abuse and suicides that will... We don't even think about the social cost of unemployment. We always think about revenue. You are even mismanaging the revenue. And your industrialization policy is not even properly calibrated. And then the few companies that are industrialized, you have gone through an era where your industrial contribution has been eroded. And then you are telling yourself you are doing services. Now, service companies like media houses, you are reducing their frequency, you are charging them senseless fees. And you come to them as if they owe you money. What does government produce? What does government produce? What are they producing? The food we eat, the water we drink, the clothes we wear. What are they? They don't produce it. They are just in government, policy and things. Why are they attacking companies that are producing the things that we eat? People are farming. People have invested to do farms and things. People have invested to build factories. And you are collecting the money as if they are committing a crime. You are the one. And if we don't, what if we all stop our business? What will you do? Meanwhile, the tax that you are supposed to collect, property tax, where people are putting up expensive buildings that we don't know who owns them. Now we don't want to collect it. Then the one that we are doing business small that we want to survive and employ people, you want us to die. And you see, Godfrey, what I'm saying is that if we don't take care, we are going to create a society where there will be no proper businesses. Corruption will be high because you cannot survive in this economy. I'm telling you, when I look at the numbers, a lot of the companies that even advertise, they've closed. Ad agencies closed, gone home. And the revenue is almost like government just looks for money, and the government doesn't use the money well. Yet they are cutting everybody's hair, collecting as much money, and putting it into a basket that is leaking. And we, the people who are creating value, are being driven out of business. And you've signed 3 taxes and you are saying you need 4 billion to get IMF 3 billion. We'll go back to, look, the kind of economic policy we run in this country. We are in what year? 2020 what?
2023.
Nathan, by the year 2028, if we are still alive, we would have gone to IMF again.
Hey!
Oh. If 2028 is even far. We are in 2023. Whoever wins 2024, they will do up and down. By 2027, you will go to an IMF program because the model you run is part of a system that is meant to miss. It's exploitative. The political leaders they don't understand or they don't want to create real value. So they just do inflation targeting. Government will collect a lot of money, use it on profligate projects, populist political promises, chop the money to the bone, do politics with it, come to power, do the same thing. And then those who are trying to create some real value are being driven out. A lot of the brain drain that's happening is not just doctors and nurses. Companies are moving. People are sending their businesses out. People are sending their children out. Go and school abroad and things. We are not doing right. We are not doing the right things. I'm telling you. And the social cost of unemployment, I think the government doesn't value job creation as a key part of the economic mandate. If a company employs 2,000 people, the company is providing a service for the country. So they should be taxed proportionately, not in this sense, this way they are doing it. And then the small money we collect, what are they using it for? We are going to buy fertilizer for people. Anyway, I'm going to do a couple of quick turns, then I'll do an interview. Meanwhile, you can send us your views 054-998-6996. Nathan, if you can read a few couple of comments for me.
Oh, yes. This one says the import duty isn't calculated on CIF. It's always from customs valuation. The worst part is the import VAT calculation. The import duty is added to the CIF, broadening the base, and that 15% VAT is calculated on that. Such an outrageous system. Kofi Intema says that. This one says, good morning, Bernard. Just to draw your attention to something. The shipping lines and terminals will also charge you taxes for COVID and NHIL, which the importer has already paid on the duty. Okay? The value of the car you are mentioning is not the price paid for it. It is the port that determines that value and calculates all the taxes and charges on that. That car may be bought for about between 2,000 and 4,000 USD. Okay, interesting. This one says
that's true. That's correct.
Okay,
that's correct.
This one says the taxes charged don't pay.
That's why the whole benchmark value discussion came up. So the Chevrolet that cost 112,000 as valued could actually cost maybe 60,000 cedis, but they will use a system to say in our system this your Chevrolet is 112,000 and calculate everything on it.
Okay. All right, this one says the taxes charge doesn't pay me, but the money is not even used for the right things. I won't be surprised. Half the money ends up in the hands of the port authorities and their cohorts. The kind of cars they own and their salaries for 20 years cannot buy those cars. Okay. This one says, I run a small cold store and the amount and number of taxes are really affecting our business. We are running out of business gradually. The amount of taxes we pay on just 200 kg of chicken products are just too much. We don't even make that much as profit at the end of the month after deducting electricity, rent, and labor. This one says, Bernard, what beats my mind is that when you buy Kantanka cars, you pay duty on them. Interesting. All right, this one says, Bernard, manufacturing companies are moving to neighboring countries, especially Cote d'Ivoire. Okay. This one says, I imported a 2019 RAV4 in October, paid 55K in December. I imported the same thing in January, and the import duty has shot up to 90K. As it stands, I'm currently unable to clear the charge because of the extra charge. All right. This one says, we imported 40 pieces of solar lights about a month ago and paid almost 120,000 to clear them. This implies 3,000 cedis per light in duties. And it says these are not even manufactured in Ghana and will not be drawing power from the grid.
Hold on. The solar thing.
Read again.
Okay, so it says we imported 40 pieces of solar lights about a month ago and paid almost 120,000 cedis to clear them. This implies 3,000 cedis per light in duties. These are not manufactured in Ghana and will not be drawing power from the electricity grid.
First of all, I mean, you see, does it even make sense for a country that has so much sunlight, which God has given to us? We are not buying it from anybody. To continue over dependence on Akosombo and these, gas plants, when in fact we could diversify a way as to make it possible for people to harness solar energy. I mean, countries in Europe, Germany, Australia, in the far Asian region, they are doing so well with solar energy, and they are not so much blessed with the sun. And in fact, I mean, Europe is now looking to, or they have already invested in the northern part of Africa, trying to harness solar energy and pipe it to the UK and these European countries. We have sunlight here. People are bringing in solar panels so they can generate electricity, ease the burden on the national grid. And we are charging them 3,000 Ghana cedis. This is scandal.
But you know that what you are saying is so true, and it actually goes to the heart of why we are in debt. You see, a lot of countries in debt have a number of characteristics. The first characteristic is that they are not energy sovereign. So energy sovereignty means that you have the resources to produce renewable power without depending on an external source. So, for example, Akosombo power plant. And you see, Nkrumah, oh my God, Nkrumah is too good. If you look at all the power we've added, Nkrumah was thinking about energy sovereignty. That's why I started Akosombo. If you go and bring a gas-powered solar plant, which at the time you are not a gas producer, it doesn't make you energy sovereign because you are going to depend on imported gas or imported crude or imported whatever. So countries that are in debt, when you put them globally together, there are three characteristics about those countries. The first one is that they don't have energy sovereignty. So you look at the component of our debt, a lot of it is energy. If you disaggregate the debt that Ghana owes, toll debt, energy sector, accrued debt, a lot of energy sector. So we are not energy sovereign. Number two, we are not food sovereign. And I'm saying that these things are part of a system that our leaders have agreed, either through laziness or ignorance.
Or acquiescence.
Because you see, once you can produce your own power and once you can feed yourself, you will always be at the mercy of the dollar. And you always be at the mercy of being an import-dependent economy. Right now, if you are not energy sovereign, if you are not food sovereign, there's no way you can be financially sovereign. Do you get it? So, and sometimes we need to read to the lines. Oh, somebody can sign a deal. Let's bring power from here. You have, that's why, and I'm coming back to renewable is solar. Renewable is wind. Renewable is Akosombo. But no, we are all building plants. Go and bring fuel from here. Go and bring fuel from here. So you spend, look at the amount of money we spend bringing in fuel to power these plants. So you see, if we were sensible, as you said, we would have focused on solar. Now, the technology to produce solar, we won't learn it because it's too hard. So even we just want to import the solar panel. So the government, instead of the government thinking about how to be energy sovereign, it needs money to pay people's salary and to do election. So they will put the duty on the solar panel without thinking about the fact that you have CSIR. Are you telling me that having natural resources of sunlight, you cannot? I mean, we are teaching kids how to do cells. Germany, Denmark, Europe, China, they are all into solar panel production. You have power here, you won't do. You rather go and bring somebody from Turkey to bring a ship to your port, and then you go to Iran to go and buy fuel to power it. It's because you are not thinking straight. But it's not just because you are not thinking straight, because the system has been set up, so you will not be free. And you see, you, the politician, if your objective is not to be sovereign as a country, we can say the same about food. Oh, produce cocoa, produce cashew. Do you eat cocoa? Oh, we need foreign exchange. You need rice. You need yam. You need ebli. No. Let's do cocoa. Cash crops, cocoa. You are sitting here. People can't feed themselves during COVID. Vietnam said, don't give you rice. You are not food sovereign. So that's the thing. See, if you don't link the economic policy, so the debt you are in, you need dollars to import rice. You need dollars to import Senyo Hosi, BDC. That's why you are broke. You see, so I'm saying that there is a link between wrong-headed policy, and I'm saying that our leaders, as you said, our leaders are very intelligent. If they want to solve the problem, they'll solve it. But the system has been gamed, and they can do the least to get the most. So they don't care. And until we start thinking more deeply, if you are not energy sovereign and you are not food sovereign, you can't be financially sovereign. So now your debt. 30 years ago, why do you need Eurobond for? Oh, Ghana is doing well. Middle class, Eurobond. Kufo, he went. Tetekpe, he followed. Afoken, he has jumped inside. Hey, Eurobond. We are setting record. Hat trick. Now your debts are dollar denominated. Why do you need dollars? What do you need dollars for? Sky, I always say this. You are in Ghana. If you produce your own food, you produce your own power. The Bank of Ghana could have given you money to produce that food. But because you have forced yourself to be part of this so-called international system, which you are importing things you are supposed to produce here, and deliberately so, the US government, do you know how much Japan owes? Japan's debt to GDP is in the 200s. But it can, because they are energy sovereign and they are food sovereign. So they are financially sovereign. US, they just create numbers to pay. You BOG, they borrowed 6%. Hey, they brought somebody from IMF come and sit in your BOG because you need dollars. Because you are not sensible to know that if you can produce your own food and eat your food, why does BOG need dollars for you to buy food that you produce in Afiadenigba? If you produce rice that you will eat in Jelukope, why do you need US dollar loan, Eurobond to buy that rice? But because you're importing the rice from Vietnam, you need dollars to pay for it. Do you get my point? So the problem is that your policy is wrong-headed. You are not thinking about being energy sovereign. So now, and they are very smart. So Ghana will never be food sovereign. So chicken, let's not produce chicken. Let's import chicken from America. 10-year-old chicken that is dying. Import it and eat it because you need dollars to pay for it. Then you are slave to the dollar system. You see the point? So we are not thinking deeply. That's why we are suffering. And we are this MPP. Hey. No. Don't jam up. You will suffer for long. Let me talk to Abraham Kumsin. Abraham Kumsin, good evening. Is it good morning or good evening? Good. It's 8:50. Sky, I'm saying that. You see, when you raise the energy issue, then it took my mind to the sovereignty because there is a deliberate, and our governments have been very lazy. Sky, if you look at our energy policy, terrible. You see, when I say food sovereignty, if there's COVID for 1 year, you can cook enough food and eat. Why should you spend all your money producing cocoa and cashew when you don't have rice and you don't have yam? Do you eat cocoa? The dollars you get for cocoa, what will you do with it versus if you eat and you are satisfied? Oh, let's produce cocoa, dollars. Go and buy finished goods. Mr. Kumsin is the Ghana Federation of Labour General Secretary. Good morning.
Good morning, man.
I'm thankful to you for joining us. You have made some very important points about the multiplicity of taxes and the effects on companies. But I want you to discuss this from the industrial side because a lot of your members at GFL are industrial companies who add value and employ a lot of people. What is the state of these industries? You can use some examples.
I don't want to mention any particular company for now. And even last week, one of the companies, the workers came out, they said they were not going to work. We will have to find a way of talking to them that the situation in this country is not too good. So to embark on such industrial action, it could backfire. And their problem is some arrears of benefits that they are entitled to have not been paid over a period of about 2-3 years. They are not getting it. So they want to do that. But we have to impress upon them to go back to go and work. And most of these industries have closed down. And the one that I'm even referring to, there are threats that anything could happen to that company. We have a lot of them. See, and it's all because of bad policies that have, brought us to where we are now. And we thought that going forward, successive governments, and for that matter, this particular one should, if they really came to come and then, help things out. And, they identify themselves with a capitalist, ideology. And we thought that for capitalism, it's about encouraging, the private sector to grow. But what we are seeing now, it appears they are rather destroying the sector, because if you keep on piling taxes, instead of you to expand the tax net to reach out to those who are hiding, but the few who are in business, you continue piling taxes. What? I mean, it's very difficult. It is very difficult to understand the ideology that they themselves are committed to applying. And in the end, I listed about 17 existing taxes that they are paying. 17 of them. And some are even duplicated. Because you see COVID-19 network charge, then you go to another place, COVID-19 special levy, and all these things. So we can't understand what ideology that they are really applying to work. So this IMF thing, IMF is not the first time. But you see, you must engage. And apart from that, you shouldn't, let the citizens suffer. Me, I've lived for some years, and I know. I've seen all these 17 or 18 IMF, missions, and we didn't go through this kind of stress. No. It's very strange to the extent that even bondholders, pensioners, entitlement. Even now, I even fear, if I have some little money, I even fear to go and even open an account in a bank because you are not guaranteed. But I dig a hole in my bedroom and then bury the thing there. If I need it, I just open up and take. So this is a situation that we find ourselves in.
What choices are open to the companies? Are they cutting down production? Are they laying off workers? Or a combination of both? Because when taxes become high and cost of operations become high, managers make drastic choices. So based on what you know, what are the calculations they are making and what is the effect of those decisions?
No, you see, you can't sell your product. And this morning I heard Joe Wise, an MP, saying that goods here are too expensive and that, he went to China and bought something. So if you know that the conditions here are not helping, sales of product at, a control price, and you go to China and bring products that we have substitutes here in this country, then what are you doing? If people here are overpricing or they are evading taxes, there are so many ways as government in power. You can deal with this kind of overpricing, but you leave Ghana, go to China and go and buy something there. You see, the industries, because they will not be able to sell. Now that some MPs can go to China and go and buy things cheaper there. That's why it tells us that our products here cannot be sold. Because Calipo, let me use Calipo. Calipo, it used to be 2 cities. I did some calculations. I think 3 cities or so. It's going to go to about 6 cities. Just Calipo. And look at malt and other, soft drinks and all that. For alcohol, someone there, I don't care. They can pack the taxes on it. But things that our children, we buy for our children, things that ordinary people who, need for their daily, then you want to tax every. See, unfortunately, if even these taxes are being applied well, we have problem. Because this is a finance minister who in parliament, his own MPs, MPs, about 90 of them, said, no, the man is not competent. He's not able to manage the economy well. We don't want him. President, sack him. So what has changed? Has he now gone to Harvard to do post-PhD within this short period to master the art of managing an economy? It's very sad. And this man is a person that he's bringing taxes upon taxes, and the man is not competent. And all that he's doing is to undermine the economy, undermine businesses. And the MPs are there. They are part of this problem that we are facing. Everybody is saying president. President says, what is it? Or not? I said, baby. Yes, he has the constitutional mandate to do. But he's one person. That's why we have the Council of State members to also advise both Parliament and then the President himself. But they're also not doing it. Because of Article 71, they are there benefiting. But I think that time for me.
Yeah, just the last one. Just the last one. In industrial unions used to be very vocal and very impactful in their advocacy. But these days, it looks like even if they talk, nobody minds them. A lot of you said the government should not sign the 3 taxes. Guta said it, you said it, AGI said it, but the government didn't mind any of you. Is it that organized labor unions these days don't have the control, the power? Because when I was in the university, in fact, when I was in secondary school in the 90s, it was a big deal. When unions say that they wanted somebody to do something, the government usually did it. But it looks like these days they don't listen. I lost him. Maybe we'll put him back and he will deal with the question for me. Anyway, we're still talking to Abraham Kum since 5 minutes past 9. He's made the point, right? He's made the point about the way companies are being destroyed, and I couldn't have made it better. Now, the reason I called him is that GFL, a lot of their members are industry. So you see, there's a difference between a company that imports shoes and sells versus a company that manufactures. Manufacturing companies have a lot of people, so they have like 2,000 staff and things. So, Mr. Coombs, I was just asking my last question when I lost you. My last question was that it seems as if, despite all the advocacy and the complaints from organized labor, the government has not listened. Is it that your power is now weaker, or is it politics? What's going on?
You see, they know that we now lack the capacity to fight them. And it's because the industry that used to be very vibrant is no longer strong as it used to be. And the workforce, about I would say about 80 something plus of them have lost their jobs. And so the few remaining, yes, we can talk. But when it comes to those days that we were in the union, 81, I mean, that is the time that GAIP was working. That is GAIP, that is top, was in full operation. VACO, very sensitive areas like, I can't count them. When we come together, when we meet, government, Shiva, even in the military, during the military regime, talk. Now GAIP, now talk. When we hoist the red flag, to be and others will run and come to us and come and plead. But you see, what is done now? Look at its condition. So I think that what is happening now, but all the same, that doesn't mean that it's like Ukraine and Russia destroying this country. They know that they have assessed the strength or the capacity of Ukraine to engage them. That's why they are doing all these things. But NATO, I know that NATO will not abandon Ukraine, and they can sustain the war to its logical conclusion. So I can say that workers are not finished yet. Unfortunately, some of us we are old, but we try to build the youth. If they are ready and prepared to offer themselves, we will help them, to build a very strong, vibrant, trade unions. That, in fact, we are meeting. The organized labor is meeting at Menzies Hotel Thursday afternoon, and we are going to
consider your options. I wish you well. Thank you for your time. Abraham Kumsin is a long-term unionist who has been at the forefront of the struggle for the improvement of lives of workers. And I was making a point about Ghana Federation of Labour that, the factory is a very important part of any country, and they add value. So if somebody is doing juice, you go and produce oranges in Isawam or mangoes at Dodowa, and then you send the mangoes or the oranges to the factory. These people cut the fruit, they work on the factory floor, they add value. So you can drink fruit juice and also export the excess to Asda or Tesco and make extra money.
Because they've added value.
These are the people who he represents, these workers. So when they lose their jobs, it affects a lot of people. All right. Let me talk to the Executive Secretary of the Chamber of Automobile Dealership Ghana, George Dumenyo. I'm trying to understand the way they calculated the thing. And even with my small accounts, the thing confused me. Because the taxes I counted on the car I wanted to buy. Nathan, where is the Chevrolet car?
No, I think
So maybe he will help me understand the calculation and then how it's affecting the port. Mr. Dumenyo, good morning.
No, Dumenu.
Sorry, it's written NYO here. Forgive me.
No, Dumenu. Dumenu.
It's not a fight. Take it easy. It's Dumenu. Thank you. All right. So, let me tell you personally, I was trying to import a car last year and I abandoned the idea because the duties didn't make sense to me. I'll give you a couple of examples. Around October, November, I was trying to get in a family-sized car, and at the time it was around 21,000 USD. When I calculated the duty, it was over 70,000 cedis, so I stopped it. A few days ago, a friend of mine was trying to bring in a small car, a Chevrolet Sonic hatchback, very small car, and the FOB was $10,900. All right, the duties on that car is over 47,000 cedis. All right. Now, I've looked at the taxes and they're about 16, 17, and then I see about 6 or 7 charges. My first question, has this always been the case? Have we been paying all of this for cars that we import? Or are these, because the taxes are plenty, I can go through, you know them already. Has it always been like this, or is it a new system where you have 17 taxes on a car?
Thank you, Mr. What is your name again?
Mr. Avle.
Avle, okay. Yeah. Thank you for having me on your program, and I want to use this opportunity to say good morning to your cherished listeners. The taxes, they are about 23. It's just that you have some of them have escaped you, and the actual taxes that we pay on the vehicle that we import from outside is around 23 thereabouts. Now, initially, duties on vehicles that are imported were not so high. When government, at the point in time, slash about 30% of the actual duty that we used to pay, which is the benchmark value that the noise that we're making about the benchmark value. But 2 years ago, when we advised the government that we should not, reverse the benchmark value, but the government reversed the benchmark value back to its normal 100%. So with the rate of the dollar as we speak now and the reversal of the benchmark value, prices of taxes on imported vehicles are now more than twice the amount that we used to pay previously. So if your statement that you had wanted to buy a vehicle last year and the price you thought that it was high, my advice is that you better buy it earlier, else it will continue rising and again till the government do something about it. Because as we speak now, the reversal of the benchmark value has, it cut across all the tax elements, and this will,
So you are saying that it will get worse. So,
yes.
And then maybe I'll take Uber. Because I can't afford it. Now, do you know the difference between some of these taxes? For example, I see import VAT. And the import VAT, it looks like the base they use to calculate the import VAT is higher than simply the cost of the car. Do they explain the basis for using these tax bases, where for the import duty, for a car that's 112,000 cedis is 12,000, so it's 10%. But for the import VAT, the figure seems higher. So is it that they use other things in addition to the cost, insurance and freight to calculate the base?
Yes, as you rightly said, initially when the value is given to you, when duty value is given to you, there are 3 categories that are given depending on the features on that vehicle that will determine the category that the duty value that will be given to you. Now, at a point in time, there was this opportunity given to importers that when you think the value is high, you can apply so that they'll have a second look at it and it will give you the one that is lower. But the reversal of the benchmark value has, closed that chapter. So if a value is given to you now, there's nothing you can do about it. So that is the position the situation that we find ourselves now.
And then there are so many taxes with the name COVID and VAT. Like, for example, there's a network charge, there's a network charge VAT, there's a network charge COVID health, there's also a network charge NHIL. So on one network charge, you have about 4 relatives. And then there are all kinds of COVID charges. So it's a COVID health recovery levy. Then there's COVID applied to a number of taxes. I mean,
yes, my brother. The worrying situation about importers. That's why even today, when you go to Temaport, a lot of vehicle importers have stopped importing vehicles because there are these 21 tax elements. We know that now COVID is over, but as we speak now, there is still COVID tax, free SHS levy, what do you call it? Every levy is placed on one vehicle. So at the close of the day, you see that the car, as you rightly said, the car that you bought around $1,000 US. By the time you finish with the tax element, it will be times 3 the amount that you even purchase the car outside. So doing business, more especially importing vehicles from outside, is now not attractive at all. So probably is the policy of the government to stop.
Let me ask you another question. So the companies that are assembling cars in Ghana, do you, the dealerships, talk to them, and are their vehicles substitutes for the ones that you import?
Looking at the policy, it is more or less like the government want to do away with the used auto vehicle and go into the new assembling vehicle, because these new assembly vehicles companies, they have tax exemptions. They assemble their cars, bring everything, and then assemble it here in Ghana. Then they sell at a higher price to we Ghanaians. And we that are bringing the already assembled cars from outside, we are slapped with high taxes. So more or less like the government is favoring the foreign companies as against the already existing used auto dealers in Ghana.
So how is it affecting your business? Are you able to get cars to sell, or are you changing? How are you surviving now?
Yes, as we speak now, 3 weeks ago we went to Tema to engage the Director General of Ports and Harbour at Tema, and they were saying that there are a lot of infrastructures that have been put in place in Tema Port, and the people, the importers, are not bringing their goods from so that they'll be able to raise the net tax to offset those debts. Now, what is happening is that a lot of people are now reallocating their resources into maybe building or maybe planting for food and agriculture. So a lot of people, because already before you purchase the car outside, you are at a loss already. As you are saying that even you that loan is available to you to purchase a car, you say you now opt for Uber. So with the business, every businessman aim at making profit. So if the taxes remains as it is, and every day you see that recently they have passed another new taxes in addition to existing ones. So it means that the local businessman has no other option but to reallocate his resources into other businesses that will be able to make a little break even. Yeah.
Thank you, George Dumenu, Executive Secretary, Chamber of Automobiles Dealership. More comments are coming. I want to read a few. And the issues are many. Good morning, Bernard. Piling more taxes on Ghanaians and their businesses by a center-right political party whose philosophy is about liberating the energies of people to make their own choices and supporting businesses to grow is misguided, bad, misplaced, and dishonest. This is Eduqueno, MBE. This one is from engineer. Just give me a second. Engineer Okines, longish one. Good morning, Bernard and team. Economic management of an informal economic like ours requires thinking outside the box. It requires a multidisciplinary approach. However, we have a team heavily influenced by investment bankers whose debt appetite is huge, hence our penchant for taking on debts with careless abandon. When you place a lawyer in charge of a country, all you do is talk, not build. Lawyers never build. Look at the Chinese leadership model. They have thinking engineers and technical people who build things. When you have very limited tools in your solution box, every problem will require a nail and a hammer. Unfortunately, our president's view with his team is firing on all cylinders, hence no need for cabinet changes. or our president's view is that his team is fine on all cylinders, so no need for cabinet changes. This economic debacle is clearly self-inflicted. Engineer Okai Wright sends that to me. Bernard, did you know that there was a factory called Bast Fibers in Kumasi that produced jute sacks for our cocoa exports? Today it's collapsed and we import those sacks from Indonesia to bag. Jute and sisal is grown and exported to Indonesia and other countries. Okay, let me finish my point on sovereignty. So, Sky, I'm giving you two examples. On the food sovereignty side, we are discouraged from doing our own local poultry. We say, Ghana is not competitive in poultry, so let's import chicken from China, from Netherlands, from US, and from the EU. Let's just produce layers. So we just do layers because we can't. So somehow, even though
who said we can't?
There are reports. Yao Graham quoted the Dutch business report that said that, from all indicators, the Ghanaian economy's production of poultry broilers is so weak that they can export their broilers to us. And and I'm linking this to Greek. So you say you are doing PFG, you don't import maize, but you don't have enough maize to feed your poultry because there's a policy that you cannot, because you need to spend dollars to buy chicken so that you can depend on the need for dollars. All right. So I'm saying that the policy, and Yagram made this very eloquently, the policy of producing cash crops as against food crops is misguided. Right? It's not an either or. The fact that you produce cocoa and coffee doesn't mean you can't feed yourself. And I'm saying that during COVID, we didn't produce enough rice, we don't produce enough maize to be competitive to even export tomatoes and all those foods. We focused on producing so-called cash crops. Most cocoa farmers are poor. We import livestock. Finished. You have apekokolo. Nice. You go import a lot of the chicken that these chicken companies give you. 10-year-old chicken frozen in the
sheep and goats right from Burkina.
Now let's come to so you are encouraged to produce certain so-called cash crops so you can feed yourself. So you depend on foreign loans to pay for the appetite created for foreign food. All right. So because you eat foreign rice and foreign chicken and all those things, you have to look for dollars, and that's why your government goes to the Eurobond to borrow. Second example, crude oil. You produce crude. Oh, don't refine it. So Thor must never work. So let NDC and MPP destroy it with their politics. So just like for cocoa, you produce cocoa beans and export it to Netherlands, Belgium, and they bring chocolate that you go to Switzerland and buy and come and give to your children to eat foolishly. That you've brought them presents. You've traveled to Belgium and go and buy chocolate and put it in a bag, a red bag, and can't give it to your children that, I went to Switzerland and I brought you chocolate to come and eat. All right? So you only get money for the raw cocoa beans, which is less than 5% of the overall value of the chocolate bar. So your cocoa farmers will be poor. Okay. Then crude. Oh, Ghana, we can't invest in oil. So you produce crude, oil will not work. So sell the crude on the international market, then look for dollars and let BDCs get money to now import finished product. And then all your CD, so your whole Bank of Ghana, what do? They are trying to tame inflation. Why is inflation going? The inflation you are getting is imported inflation. It's exchange rate inflation, because the point is that once the US Fed raises their rate, all your portfolio investors are moving out. Your currency is falling, and once your currency falls, if you needed 10 CDs for the dollar, now you need 20. That just means that you are looking for dollars. So you go on the Eurobond market. So it's a cycle. So it starts from production. So the dependence on, that's what I'm saying that, Sky, I'm in Ghana. Senyo Hosi produces rice at Adakulu. Yes, maybe he will import a tractor. Fine. But the rice is from here. So a country that produces and feeds itself, what do I need dollars for? I go to Gogo Rice. Give me rice, I'll eat. But you see, we need rice from Vietnam. We need long grain perfume rice and give it some fancy name. So $300 million every year goes there. Commander Sugar Factory, they'll fight. Don't do it. You go import sugar from Brazil. You need dollars. So it's a system. They tell you, chicken, you go import because your people can't produce chicken. So Christmas, oil. Now the company that's producing oil, Wilma, you are using taxes to destroy it. They are struggling. So you go and import sunflower oil from some place for your Christmas chicken, your rice from Vietnam, your sugar for rice water from Brazil, your chicken from US, all with dollars, right? Now that's what I'm saying. You cannot have monetary sovereignty if you don't have food sovereignty or energy sovereignty We can say the same for oil. So in the oil discussion, the same. Produce renewables. You spend money, both NDC and NPP, to build huge plants that require fuel from abroad. Meanwhile, they are renewables. You won't develop solar because solar, to make you sovereign, you don't want it. You see, and our leaders are complicit. They know. So Akosombo is not enough. No problem. They do almost all the plants, AXA, this, that, they are all importing fuel. Isn't it recently that some government said, let's now re-inject? They were even flaring the gas. Guys, can you imagine? You produce oil, you have excess gas, you are burning it into there. It's only recently that they started re-injecting it, and now they are doing, regasification. And I'm saying that this dependence on the US dollar, it's not just a Ghana problem. That's why BRICS and Co. It's a system. Japan's debt to GDP is over 200%. They are not at IMF. Almost all the G7 countries, their debt to GDP is above 100%. Why? Because they have monetary sovereignty. You don't. So no sensible country should be going to borrow in dollars. Right? Because as I've given you a Senor example, if I'm in my country, I want to eat my rice. Why do I need US dollars to buy Senor's rice? Think about it. Do I need Eurobond to buy Senor's rice? So eat what you grow what you eat. Basic. Use your local resources to produce your power. Then you can build from there. You can add value to the agric, add value. Then you can say for high-level machines, you can import it because you are not at Japan's level. So maybe you want to do shoe factory. So you go and bring a machine from Hungary. That I can look for dollars for. So your external debt is always going to be small. But in the past 2 decades, your external debt and your appetite for so-called Eurobonds. Oh, they came and said, oh, you guys, Ghana is doing so well. Africa rising, middle class, yada, 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 yada. You all went to Eurobond. You borrow so much. Now you are negotiating with external creditors to get an IMF deal of $3 billion. It's disgraceful. That's why Engineer Okan is telling you that. You see, the economics we learn, I'm always telling you, if what you learn hasn't empowered you to be free, you don't really know it. If what you claim to have learned hasn't taught you the skills to be free, you don't know it. So knowing something is not just understanding theoretically that A plus B is equal to C, or that if you spend 1 million to start a radio station, can you do it? Right? Talk is cheap. What have you built? And I'm saying our economic leaders have not shown that they know how the economy works. Based on the example I gave you, I just gave you 3, and these are 3, it's a triad. Financial sovereignty or monetary sovereignty is linked to food sovereignty and energy sovereignty. Think about all the policies we've invested in. You've covered Parliament for a long time. Look at the deals, the loans Ghana takes to do power plants. How many of those power plants were in the renewable sector? And I'm not saying you should only do renewables, but if the objective of our energy policy is sovereignty, so if you go to the Ministry of Energy, we want power availability, power accessibility. That's not a serious country will say, Ministry of Energy, our overall objective is to be energy sovereign because Russia is energy sovereign. Why do you think in the war, when they started fighting, the Europeans said they've ditched, they claimed that the energy transition is on hold because they didn't have energy sovereignty. Russia was giving them gas from Gazprom. They said they've given Russia sanctions. Now they have to import gas from Russia. If they don't do something about their own coal plants, they will go cold in winter and die. And you are sitting here, even food that you eat, you can't produce it yourself. You do meetings, you have conferences, ministers talk big. You still don't have enough wisdom to produce food to eat. Meanwhile, you're going to Harvard. So why do you think, what does Harvard do for me? I don't need Harvard for anything. I need sense to free myself. That's what so it's not about where you go to school or what degree you have. The test of if you know something is, are you free? You are not. Look at your country, like a Bernard Republic. Every 3 years you're at IMF. They bring some technical to come and sit at a BOG, who was probably your junior in business school, can tell you and you're happy. And you come back and tell us that you've succeeded and we should vote for you. And you go back and do the same thing. It doesn't make sense. And I don't even know what language to use it again. And look, see, we are lucky to even be able to say these things on air for free. It's not as if like you have to go to some big school to learn it. It's very simple. It's not like it's not some big. And what I'm saying is not even a wild economic idea. It's simple. It's common sense. But if common sense cannot be applied, it should tell you that there are more institutional and serious structural inbuilt what's the word I want to use? Inbuilt systems to keep you where you are with the complicity of your leaders. Because what I'm saying to you, what I'm saying makes sense to you, but you can't do it because somebody has thought for 50 years to keep you there. And the person's plan includes the way you hate yourselves, the way you were educated, all the things that you do. They know your taste. They've used all those things against you. So you think you are free, but you are not. They've studied you so bad, because when you go to conference, you're just going to drink tea, buy perfume, and come and give it to your girlfriend. So you think that you are wise. Yes, I said they know that's what you want. So when they are coming to think about how to keep themselves wealthy and to keep Africa poor, you are not thinking about that, because they know that you just give him 2 bottles of champagne, give him some perfume, and look for some people for him to have fun with that evening. No, it's okay. So you can't be free, because you are not deep. You are not thinking. You are not angry. And anger is not shouting. Anger is thinking. You see, an angry man is not a man who shouts. See, this is what I'm saying. We know some people have vowed that we will never develop, and we are happy. Because when we go and they give us loan, they come and say, Charlie, Ghana, if they try. Because they invited me to Guild or Harvard or Boston Consulting Group to say something. Meanwhile, our citizens can't feed themselves. We can't manage the alarm. Say, our light is off. But once we win elections, we are okay. Ghanaians, think. And your children, those chicken, pizza, they eat, when you give them, Daddy, I don't like this food. I don't like. Back to the village food bazaar. Carry achoma for your child. I don't like achoma. I want KFC. They are building the slavery into your child. So you get up and become a KFC eating whatever. So he won't eat his own food. Give him agbelikaklo. No, he doesn't like. Agbelikaklo is yaki. You have to beat it out of him. Agbelikaklo is yaki.
God bless you.
He wants to eat. And I don't want to spoil somebody's business, but it's part of this, because why, if you eat chicken, why do you think KFC will go and use your chicken to do their thing? I'm bringing it from somewhere. So it's part. So if you are not food sovereign and you're not energy sovereign, forget it. And nobody will hand that to you on a silver platter. You must go to his China. Pork, you lie bad. Don't agree. It's a national security issue. Food is a national security issue. Go to China. Pork, because if the people don't have pork, they'll rebel. So even though they don't have a democracy like you do, people have food to eat. That's the beginning of freedom. But we sit here every day.
Definition.
No, they have democracy.
They call it democracy.
I'm talking from a Western perspective.
Yes.
They are happy.
They call it democracy.
Because what's the point when you are, and you see, that's why I keep telling you that it's not democracy that's on trial. It's leadership that's on trial. So every time we make Africans, democracy is not working. There are African military leaders who are equally bad, right? And there are Scandinavian democracy leaders who are producing very good economic development. So the problem is not democracy. The problem is that your leaders don't have your interest at heart to deliver the leadership you need. That's the point. And I'm saying that let's think about different models. Okay? The Asians have shown that it's possible. They've shown, and when they were coming to the party, initially people resisted, but they said no. But we go and meet at AU, take pictures. Then we go and get people to sponsor our own AU meeting. We can't even pay for our own meetings. There's no ideas now. Even our investors taken over by ideas, neoliberal ideas. We can't even think independently and say this is the way to go. We can't. And once we wear suit and speak big English, we think we are better than our neighbor. That's not the way to develop. It's a sad commentary on a very complicated issue. I'm oversimplifying many things, but I'm saying to you that if you are not food sovereign and if you are not energy sovereign, forget it. You can't show me one country in the global north or the global south that is free or doing well, which hasn't gotten these two sovereignties. Even Singapore, with their little resources, look at their port system. That a company from Singapore is so powerful that they are doing oil here and so for us to buy and bath. Wilma is a Singaporean company. They are so powerful and so organized that they employ thousands of Ghanaians in Tema, producing soap, margarine, cooking oil, rice, from a small city state.
People don't understand what you're saying. Say Frightor.
Yes, and you are sitting. And this country used to be like us in the 60s. But he knows. This is the thing. He didn't just go to school to speak English. He understands how to change his people's. But it starts from the heart. So a leader who loves you is not the one who gives you money to vote for him. It's the one who invests in your freedom. A leader who loves you is not the one who gives you money to vote for him. He's the one who invests so that your children shall be free. So Lee Kuan Yew loved these people. We can't say that about a lot of our leaders because they are not thinking about our future. They are not. So if you look at 30 years, Lee Kuan Yew, he's freed these people. They are at the height. They come, they can compete with everybody. You can go to the same class in law school and do better than him in class. But when he gets back to his country, they'll finish you because you don't have anything. That's the point. So we have to think soberly about the choices we make, the questions we ask, what we empower, what we encourage, what we believe in, and it has to be aligned to our values. Otherwise, we will not get anywhere. The government will tax, you will make noise, they'll collect the money. They'll do their campaign, they'll do their election. You can't do anything about it. Because most people don't think like that. Most people are just interested in supporting the party they like because their money is from their hometown. And so long as you think like that, you will never be free. If I vote for someone from my hometown, how does it help me? How much money can he steal and give me? Even if he goes to speak my language in the presidential palace, how does that help me? When my grandchildren cannot be free. So what's the point? But why do we think like that? But they know that that's how you think. So they'll use that against you. And you will keep doing it. You will die and go. So Sky, this is not just a tax issue. It's a whole economic system that our leaders have sold us into. Yeah.
Shall I play someone till the philosophy song?
I wanted to play your song.
Which one? War. Yeah. No, I don't want war.
No, it's a war.
I want.
It has to be a war.
And that one is your own. No, I won't. I don't want to be invited for questions.
Oh, no.
Where?
I don't want to know.
Last time I was asking you a question and we're having this conversation about politics and everything. I like where you've sent the conversation this morning. You said a lot, so there isn't too much I can add this morning. But I asked you a question about if I asked you to list the top 100 companies in Ghana by sector, how many of them would be Ghanaian? That day you did not understand me. That day.
I didn't know where you were going with that question.
But would you have a clear understanding of where I was going with that question based on what you've been saying?
You were setting traps for me that I wasn't willing to enter.
No, I wasn't setting traps, but you see, I've always wondered about this. And look at a country, we talk about how we're developing and how we're growing. And I see individuals being mentioned. I ask myself, what do those people do? Are they manufacturers? Are they
people succeeding?
Yes, what do they do?
They know how to game the system.
So yeah, because like somebody meets you and tells you, oh, this is Richard the last guy. He's a rich man. He shows up in a Lamborghini something. So for somebody like me, the question I ask is, oh, so what does he do? Oh, he's a businessman.
Businessman.
What does he do?
A businessman is imports and sells.
Most of the time.
Yeah, that's what businessmen.
Most of the time.
They know how to game the system.
You see, most of the time. They're the biggest contributors to the political system. So whose businesses do you think will survive? Yes. Okay. So hence my question that day. The wealthiest people in this country, and you see, the thing, I make this point because the sovereignty that you spoke about, most often than not, will be led by the private sector, with support from the state using its policies. Okay. So in the countries that I talk about, and Vietnam is a particularly intriguing example these days because Vietnam in the past 15 years has done a lot of things. If I were to open my database right now, I'd be able to point at you who the market leaders are in Vietnam, who have become Asian powerhouses, not just Vietnamese powerhouses, but they are local in what they do, in terms of their rice, in terms of whatever. Recently, we were told that the Thais were interested in our rice project. So there's some sort of link.
They want to invest in Ghana rice.
The Thais want to invest in Ghana. Thailand wants to invest in Ghana rice.
Oh, the people signed the thing.
I'm just saying.
No, we can talk about that in relation to what is our
overall agenda.
They signed them already.
But my point is,
and it must fit into. You see, his point is that what Vietnam is trying to do, there's a national aspiration. So if you sign an agreement with an American company in Vietnam to produce rice, insofar as that agreement fits into that agenda, Okay, so but the question is, do we
need it?
Sky, I give you an example. When there's doomsday and we want power, you can go and get inefficient power and put us in debt to give us the power we need. So you are solving our problem, but you are creating a bigger one for us. Because you are making us energy dependent.
You know what this thing
So what our politicians do is that when there's a problem, they don't think about solving it in a way as to actually free us all. It's an opportunity to make money.
It's simple.
And also give you a palliative. You want the power, here's your power. That's what I'm saying. If you like, analyze all the power plants.
Let me give you 2 examples. I'll give it. COVID. We supported significant industries with massive money. It wasn't joke money. Look, most of those companies or entities, if they had gone to banks, would not get that kind of money because we needed something. Now, the hope would have been that post that, the capacities of some of these institutions would have been such that they are able to grow really fast and into other places. Which one?
Well, I don't know what they gave them.
But we know they gave.
COVID.
I will give it.
We're going to do vaccine.
We put something. What's the largest? You hold on. What's the largest private medical facility in this country?
In terms of manufacturing.
Manufacturing, research, whatever. You understand?
Is it NSK?
I don't want to put names out there, but I'm just saying, if you look at whoever ran whatever it was at the airport, for instance, and the amount of money that was made. If I walk into is there a building
where's the legacy
the
amount of money that was made? It was exploitative.
Where is it?
So do you remember the COVID controversy?
Yep.
If you had said, for example,
if an entity makes $130 million,
WAC-BIP, and then maybe I don't know what's the name of the people who do the tests, whether they are Ghanaian company or not. I don't know what their name is.
Yes, that's the point.
That's the point he's making. Yeah. So it was quick money.
Where did it go into this economy?
Oh, they
you see,
they may put up some apartments or cantonments.
And I'm coming to the final.
So they may put up some apartments or cantonments. That locks up the money.
That is my final point. I'll get to that point that you just made.
So it stores the value of the money.
But it's not. You see, real estate is good for store your money.
They hope to liquidate it someday.
But you see, this is the other thing. Sorry, I'm cutting you.
Don't worry.
If you have 10 billion and you build affordable housing in poor communities, you are solving 6-7 problems at the same time.
Yeah, I'm not thinking about
That's what I'm saying. So my point is that you see that when money is ill-gotten and spent for self-preservation, it doesn't solve social problems, right? Because if you build those houses in Kasua and build some at Ningo Pram Pram and add workers to come to work by train to go to their factories, you are solving a social problem. But if you build a $6 million per unit facility in cantonment, which will be empty for 2 years, you are keeping your money, but you are not helping anybody. But that's unfortunately how. And that's what I'm saying. I see.
What's the difference between Nkrumah and the leaders that?
Oh, he loved his country. That's what I'm saying. See, I said something this morning. I see leaders touch a heart before they change their mind, and leadership is first a heart connection before it becomes a mind connection. So if it says if you love me, do this. Lee Kuan Yew loved the people, so he sacrificed to create a system that will free them. And I'm saying that most people who have come after, they all say they love you, but they are looking to enrich themselves or their relatives or their side of the coin.
Which is the point I'm making.
So they are not really thinking about you.
You see, so
that's the problem.
The sovereignty that we are talking about will be difficult to come by because if I went to Morocco right now, I can point at you the largest energy producer in Morocco.
I mean, but they have a key, they don't even have democracy.
They looked at the deserts recent. Have you seen the I think it's like the largest solar farm out of the Western world is in Morocco. It's massive. They try to put their money there. So there will be that level of energy sovereignty that you are looking for some time to come. The projects are there. Okay. For me, I think that we could attain these if we actually had substantive capacity in these things that we can point at. I look at we recently were talking about this, Ghana is like a hub. All these kinds of people visit, they party, they talk about investments, the money that is coming in. Yes. So I'm asking myself, how does it uplift the country? Where is it? Yeah. Where does it go?
Let me even bust your bubble. If I had money to invest in either agric or tourism, I'll choose agric and not tourism. You know why? Tourism is not a bad sector, but you see, tourism, it depends too much on the external. Because once foreigners come, you have to give them foreign artists, you have to give them foreign food, you have to give them all kinds of things to keep them going. So a lot of your money still goes back out.
Not necessarily.
No, I'm giving you an example. It's a comparison between agric. All right. Now, the reason why this is important is 1D, 1F. How can you have a country that is doing 1D, 1F and yet is going through a deindustrialization where industries are collapsing? Industries are moving out and you're saying you're doing 1D, 1F. So it's easy to use Fourth Estate did a recent work on 1D, 1F companies. A lot of them they had just been left. Some of them have employed few people.
Most of them in debt.
So the policy, that's
most of them don't have off-takers.
It's not enough to have a good slogan. And I make it simple. I'm saying you want economic sovereignty. So it starts with food and energy, right? But if you don't start it from that level and you just want to build factories because it's good to do factories, because when you study industrial economics, you must go from agric to industrialization. Everybody can do something. But the reason it will not change things is that it's not well thought through and it's not even well possibly intended.
See?
You get me? So, and this point is making about money and the way it's distributed. I think it's a very important point because how people make wealth in a country is also important in the way that development occurs. So maybe on a different day, I'll explain to you what I meant by investing in agri versus tourism. And I'm not saying don't invest in tourism. I'm just saying that if sovereignty is your objective, your choices will be very clear. If sovereignty is your objective, your choices will be very clear. It does not appear to be our objective.
I'm just saying, let's do a simple exercise. Yeah, I beg you, just 30 seconds, I beg you. Who are the 5 largest farmers in Ghana? Put it together and what they contribute to what we do here.
I don't have the liberty to mention.
No, I know. I'm just saying. But even they themselves will tell you that if you put what they do together, their net worth, output of food, and you compare that to, we could decide to make a comparative analysis of who their contemporaries would be around and see just how much of a dent they make. You understand? If I take the largest farmer in South Africa, if that person decides to stop producing milk, what it means. And ask yourself what it means for somebody in Ghana to say, I won't grow cocoa, or I won't grow pear, or I won't grow cassava in a day in Ghana. You will see what I'm talking about. Bernard Avle has sacked me.
This is the Citi Breakfast Show, the city's biggest conversation.
same thing you were saying this morning. The easiest job any man can have is that of becoming the president of a country. You hire people to do the work. If they can't do it, you fire them and bring another person to do the work. It is not like there are no human resources in this country. Is this too difficult to do? This is all about leadership. Why can't we get this? I get so angry at the leadership of this country. This one says, good morning, Bernard. If we have our chicken locally, we will not need so much energy to freeze because you market, you buy live chicken. Also, the people we vote for enjoy not being smart to help deal with our problems. We need to think outside the box to fix our problems. This is a piece of advice to the NDC and the NPP delegates. Let us put business men at the Jubilee House. This one says that, the name is Kwame Efriye Aforo from Dwyer Nkwanta. It says, all these fantastic solutions, they won't take you to Bernard. This one says, our leaders are benefiting from the bad system of this country, so they will never attempt to change it. This one says, Mr. Bernard, good morning. We have just lost it all as a country. All hope is lost, and the leaders just don't respect the citizenry. Pathetic. Our leaders should understand that power or authority emanates from the people and the base for that matter, and it is held in trust and exercised for and on behalf of the people from the top. Our leaders must wake up and do what's right. Else, if we, the citizens, rise up, the citizens would not find it, or the leaders would not find it easy. What kind of country is this that I have found myself in? This one is coming in from, it's without a name. It says, good morning, Bernard. Charlie, you have spoken, we will never make progress if things don't change in this country. We are governed by a manifesto rather than a national agenda. Why can't we have a national plan so that the parties tell us how they would achieve it? Well, that's why we have a National Development Planning Commission. For some reason, we don't seem to get them to do what, or we don't actually work with them to get what has to be done. Well, this one says, I'm currently trying to import a car into Ghana, paid all my duties, and now an officer on the port or at the port is asking for 100,000 Ghana cedis to do his job and release the car. 100,000 Ghana cedis, or you mean 10,000 Ghana cedis? Because there are, how many zeros there? In words, 100. 100,000 Ghana cedis do his job. In bribe? This is the officer to why? You are asking for bribe, you ask for small one. This guy is not a serious guy. Good morning, Bernard. I've learned in business school that one of the canons of taxation is convenience. A time will come where people will not pay taxes and that declare profits, etc. This would, at the long run, or in the long run, you want to say, have a significant impact on our economy. Your projection regarding 2027 and that we will be going back to the IMF is possible if we don't start making the right policies now. This one says, today, you can't even buy what we produce here, let alone from outside. Sometimes you pray you can help people around you to survive, but the hardship in the system is unbearable on you. That's coming in from France. Well, the fact is that, it's a horrible system we find ourselves in. Unfortunately, it's become a vicious cycle. Nobody's thinking outside the box to fix it. And we have become enslaved by our own lack of judgment and our indecisions. Perhaps in the fullness of time, things will change. Let's keep talking, let's keep working, thinking.
No scissors nor razors shall be upon his head, as this is said by the kings of kings and lords of lords, or imperial majesty, Emperor Selassie.
And one final birthday wish to an ardent listener of the Citi Breakfast Show, the most controversial person I know, Mr. Edikwe of Team Yuku. Yeah, so Brady, I have a fantastic morning. I'm sure we'll meet at Parliament later in the evening.
Rasta Rasta go tear down Babylon. Babylon we Babylon
All right, so that was culture, and we have time for the news at 10 with Caleb Kuda. Good morning.
Good morning, Bernard.